Yeah,
not gonna talk about veganism anymore.
well, it was just kind of. I think people. I think. There we go, dude. It's as easy as that. I don't play the fucking music in the morning in the beginning anymore because it just.
I noticed.
It cuts it out. There's a copyright like shadow over it, and it cuts it out. And if you want to like, so I'll give you the full tour. We have access to pull up.
Right.
But we can pull up whatever you want. So if there's a video you want us to take a look at or something, so cool. Use the computer as a reference.
I see what you're saying.
As a reference, like, but mainly it's this, and like honestly, the video games are there. Originally, the video games were there so that people could bail out of the conversation if they thought that it was just going to be too awkward for them in order to talk, or it was going to be too awkward for them to just talk into a microphone.
Right.
So I'd be like, all right, fuck it, man. Let's play some video games. So
brings me back to the band days.
This is it, dude.
This is cool.
Shelby Benjamin. I got you. I got your fucking website up there. Your fucking.
Oh, my website's so ugly right now.
This is one of the hardcore brethren in the city I grew up in.
OG Razor Gang.
OG Razor Gang. A lot of things, dude. Just like fuck, man. You were a grade older than me, so you were the cool kids. You guys were out there with a video camera when Jackass. Every city has a group of kids that try to do the Jackass thing, right? Yeah. That was your group of friends. Yeah. You guys did the Jackass thing.
Yeah, I was the one like that would like put on the stupid shit and then like, oh, we're gonna pull you on something behind the GoPed and then crash into something.
You were the who would that have been in the Jackass group? That was done. That's some done shit. That's
probably done. I was thinking Dave England. But,
yeah.
He's like the puke and diarrhea guy.
Yeah, yeah. You kind of do that.
I actually
once.
met him.
Did you?
I actually went to his house, hung out with him.
You went to his house?
Yeah.
Security purposes?
No. Just kind of my son and his son is like, they were doing like this like modeling thing for a while.
Sick.
So yeah.
Yeah, you got a good looking kid, man.
He's fucking awesome. We just got him his first drum set.
Oh,
put him on it, and I was like, because he knows how to count to 4. So I'm like, all right, Jimmo, like kind of showed him a little something, and we posted the video online, and everyone's like, oh my god, he already has rhythm. And
yeah, dude. Before you said that, my nieces were just over here, and one of my nieces was able to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and I was like, yo, you need to play like, drums.
Actually,
that's it.
Advanced level.
There's kids my age who, if you ever see this, I'm so sorry. I'm not dropping any names, but you know who you are. There was kids that I played in bands with that could not have done that, you know? And it's like...
Dude, I was a terrible drummer when I was playing drums in a band.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you ripped.
No.
You got rhythm?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can play. I haven't played in a while. I do a little more piano than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, you were doing fucking keys for a second.
Right, so I did that in a band for a while.
You know what I remember, dude? We were in Sean's room back in the day, and we found, like, it had to have been, like, a one-of-a-kind Slipknot vinyl. And it was, like, the vinyl picture was just, like, them playing live. It was so weird.
He had, it's funny you say that, because he had a lot of really, like, just random records.
Hold on. There's some peeps dropping in. So, here's this. Definitely Dave England. Yeah. McFly, what up?
Cool.
So yeah, this is it, dude. This is all the rage right here. You're mid-saying, but let's go back to that memory. So, your brother he had quite the vinyl collection.
So he
had
like
DJing.
He had a set of like dual turntables. And he was pretty good. He would like watch videos and then like try to learn how to scratch and mix and all that.
Yeah.
And then, but he also had a bunch of random like Korn records or like whatever.
I think it was essential in that time frame to have kind of the new metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. Did he turn you on to like Shai Hulud? I know that you're
pretty. So yeah, like so. Thinking back, I was actually thinking about it. Like, when did I actually start getting into the whole like hardcore scene? So he was listening to Anti-Flag when I was like 10. So I was like, okay, cool. I was like, doing like dressing like what I thought punk was, and it was just like whatever.
You used to
like,
not wear labels on your clothes.
Yeah, that was like it kind of still is a thing for me. It's like I don't like to be.
You used to take the labels off of your Levi's, dude.
Yeah, or whatever.
And Wranglers
like,
or some shit.
I kind of still do that. Like I sort of try to stray away from wearing like anything that has like a brand name on it.
I like that.
I don't know. That's just kind of
And you still do that.
Yeah, like so like this has the logo of a company, but it doesn't say like what it is or anything.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to support. This is a bad example because I'm wearing this Brixton shirt, but I'm just.
I mean, who cares? It's fucking clothes.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that's
yeah.
it's such a like teenage
But
thing. Like,
if I had the choice, I would only be supporting my friends who have made the clothes. Like
Right.
at this point in my life,
right.
like
Yeah.
I would much rather, like back in the day, I was so concerned of like, oh, this is a sick Volcom shirt. When now it's like I'd be so if my friend Mike D makes soaps. If he ever made a fucking soap, sure, I'd be so
support
much
small
more
business,
stoked
for
to
sure.
fuck. Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah, I remember when it was like the thing to have the band shirts that you like been to their show, and it's like your badge of honor. So
yeah.
that was when like once I started getting into the music that he was listening to more. So Anti-Flag was first, then came.
Make sure you're talking right up into that
then
fucking
came
microphone.
the Identity Crisis and
Yeah. So
what else? Well, it kind of all started with like Korn
Yeah.
and Slipknot and Incubus, and then so Anti-Flag, and then who else would we listen to? So
You're so sick for covering Thrice at the talent
so
show.
I got in 6th grade really into Thrice, and that was when he was
Epic.
teaching me how to play guitar.
Oh,
so
okay.
he was teaching me, like he would literally teach me the rhythm, and then he would play the lead on whatever album. Pick a song on Identity Crisis.
Yeah.
We probably played it together.
Yeah, you guys played the song Identity Crisis,
And then
didn't
so
you?
that was the song that we covered.
Right.
I think it was 7th or probably 8th grade. So 7th grade, I got really into Thursday and Death
Yeah.
by Stereo.
Yeah.
So
I remember your shirt, dude.
Yeah,
It's
my
the one with
brother.
the airplane on it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was totally stoked to have that
Yeah,
shirt. And then
yeah.
my brother and his friends would come over, and our group of friends, we would have massive sleepovers at my mom's house.
For sure.
And I remember one night, like that, I loved hanging out with my brother and his friends. That was always the best. So they would watch Hellfest. I think it was 2000. Have you seen that?
I haven't
It's like
seen
a
it,
DVD.
but I know Brett Randall used to tell me
Someone
about
had it on-
Hellfest, and it was like Hellfest was like the fucking.
So that really got like I think I saw so I saw Poison the Well performing Nerdy live, and I was like
sick.
the drummer. I was like, dude, too sick.
Yeah.
And then so yeah, that's when I really got into it. I was like,
For
all right,
sure.
I'm gonna start.
Yeah, that's a
hitting
good
up
starting point.
shows and just got really into my brother's band. The first show I think was like summer.
And this was Final Fight.
Final Fight. Their first show. Damn, I don't even remember the years. But anyways, I was like 13, and it was in the backyard of Devin's house.
Okay.
And
Did they used to practice right here?
probably.
Because Bo used to live right here.
Yeah, then for sure. Yeah.
That's so weird knowing that I grew up
Right.
listening to Final Fight, but
And
not
then- and
knowing
then
it
you
was
just-
Final Fight. So crazy.
Yeah. So, who else was I listening? Hope's Fall.
Yeah,
And then I got really into like Misery Signals,
For sure.
Shai Hulud,
for sure.
Seven Angels, Seven Plagues, of course, was
For
like
sure.
one of my huge ones that I listened to a lot. And then yeah, like that whole local scene that was happening, that was the golden age, really. It's
So
like there's
sick.
there's really nothing like that anymore.
People don't
Kind
get
of-
it. Like,
No, you wouldn't unless you kind of grew up in you're not necessarily in the area, but like during that time period.
but even like people don't understand what it was like to be from El Segundo and seeing like the straight edge tattooed kids walk through Rec Park, and you're like, whoa, like what is that, dude?
El Segundo Teen Center, I don't know if you remember, and I don't even know if they're still there, the pictures on the wall.
Yeah,
They
I
had
remember.
like Adamantium and Avenged
That was
Sevenfold.
before I saw the bands. I was like, dude,
Yeah.
what is happening in these pictures?
So that even like before we were like too young, but
Like, One
there
King
was
Down
huge
and, like,
shows. Yeah,
yeah,
there were
big
huge
shows.
local
Throwdown.
shows there, and it was I think it's in a couple music videos too.
Really?
I forget which ones.
That's
I think
sick.
it is, but so yeah, that was really cool to be a part of that and to
Yeah.
see that like it hasn't been kept alive and then like kind of died. Not I don't want to say with our generation, but like there's not the El Segundo hardcore scene definitely is not existent really.
Yeah.
Like but
How sick would that be? If
so many sick bands came from it, like
Yeah.
Vigil's band, you know.
Dude, Hard On. Do you remember Hard On? That
I do. I there was like we were talking about New Direction that
Yeah.
one time. So those like I remember like when we were that age, there was nothing more fun than to just go to a show and then to party and like hang out with everyone after and just like.
But have it all there, like
Yeah.
all, and then but you're like 6 blocks away from home.
You gotta walk home.
Yeah, you gotta walk home,
home
but
before-
but it's like there was so,
Yeah.
dude, it was such a pleasure growing up in this town, man. Like you knew enough, there was enough. It was like one big university for life. Like it just seemed like every party was like kind of had this like fraternity vibe because everybody like lived on campus type feel, you know, because it was like there was so much going on here. It seemed like for a second.
Definitely like that kind of family vibe because everyone knows everyone and it's like I don't know if you remember when we were in high school and we like kind of went to war with the high school kids in Hermosa.
Dude, I remember like that was in our grade, but I know you guys like, dude, I remember like the older kids used to like fight each other in Taco Bell and shit on Sepulveda.
Right.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Did you ever fight?
I didn't. I definitely was involved, not like fighting people, but we definitely like chased some.
I've seen you get in a fight before.
I'm sure a lot of people have. But
No, did you fight a lot of people?
I guess I didn't really find this out until afterward. I guess I kind of had like the reputation of being a hothead, which was kind of more of like, obviously, like I was just a depressed teenager.
For sure.
So,
like
yeah.
every other fucking teenager.
Right. And then, so yeah, I would get into.
I always thought you were like funny and
fights.
shit, but I think I saw you stand up and I don't
So any fights that,
Yeah.
maybe not drop names,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
any fights that I have been in, there's only one that I actually like picked the fight, and then that's where I really got my ass beat. And then I didn't necessarily like got my ass beat, like I lost.
You lost.
Yeah, and
Okay.
then that was like it was over something really stupid,
Yeah.
and yeah,
They're
but-
never over like anything fucking important. You're like 16 or 15.
So which
We were talking about,
which fight did you see?
we could drop the name, dude.
It was I was probably like what, like 14, 15, 14?
Yeah, you were like 16. Dude, it was yeah, no, I won't fucking, maybe I can write it down.
Who
I'll
cares?
write
Yeah,
it down
it
and
doesn't
shit.
even matter. It
Yeah,
doesn't even
yeah.
matter. I was just curious. Because
You walked up to him and we're like,
okay, yeah,
and
now
we're,
I know
slapping
exactly.
him around.
I know exactly who you're talking
Okay.
about.
And his brother showed up.
and my brother and his friends were there too. Do you
Dude,
remember that?
Yes, I remember
Yeah.
the scene, but do you remember when his older brother hopped out of the cage and rushed Tim Fucci? And Tim
He thought
Fucci-
somebody else was the one that was punking his brother,
dude,
and
not
he
only that, he
ran
thought-
right past me.
he ran past you and like ran up to Tim Fucci.
I do remember
and,
that.
And Tim's
I
scream,
totally
and
forgot
Tim's
about
scream was like just
Shout out Tim Fucci.
yeah. What up, Tim
I
Fucci?
love that though, that you remember that. That is funny. Yeah, that was yeah, I think that was kind of like one of the things that maybe established that reputation.
Yeah.
because
Oh,
I don't even remember why that happened. Anyways,
who cares?
Yeah, funny teenage stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I thought I was like such a badass because I did like whatever martial arts and whatever. And,
Did you?
Yeah, I mean a little bit, not like I did a lot when I was 15 and 16, and then a little bit 17, and then I kind of just flaked off. That was when I really started like getting into more trouble. I went to Arena for a semester. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I had to go to Arena for a semester in my junior year because I was ditching too much.
Okay.
And then I had to go back senior year.
I
and then
remember.
yeah.
I remember you were like proud, and this is before I smoked. You were like proud of being like a you called it a stoger. You're like, yeah, me and Borch, are like the only stogers left.
So, oh god,
Dude, we
How
didn't.
dumb is that?
I
That's
don't know.
so
I don't
funny
know.
though. Yeah,
I
no,
don't know,
'cause,
dude.
we would chain smoke cigarettes and we thought
Dude,
it was the coolest thing ever.
That's the only. I only got in trouble with the cop because they found cigarettes on me at school. Dude.
Oh yeah, I got that too.
Yeah, I'm sure you got.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a fucking. My resume is so lame compared to yours. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Well, so yeah, it's
Anyways,
definitely an interesting thing to grow up in El Segundo. So
it was cool as shit, dude, and I wonder if it's still the same. Like, I think that it was important, like, I don't even think, like, because we weren't, like, popular. I think we were all, like, music, skate, nerd, weirdos,
I would never
you know?
consider myself, like, one of the
Like, we
popular
definitely
guys.
weren't jocks, you know? Like,
No.
not at all. But it was,
No.
like, it was cool because you'd go to a skate circle, and if nobody's there, you're like, oh, then and you could literally see, like, oh, they're all at Scout House, you know? And that was
Right.
kind of cool, is that you could just, like, everybody was always somewhere, and there was always, like, 14 people there, and
Key
something
skate
happening.
spots
Yeah.
where you could find anyone at any time.
And they were always, like, 5
before
minutes
cell
apart.
phones,
Yeah.
before social media.
We
And see,
didn't need
that was the thing too. It's like when we were going to shows when we were a little older, we were going to these shows. There was no like, oh hey, I'm at the show, selfie. Like,
Yeah, you were
I'm going
at
to
the
this
show.
check in. Yeah, you
Yeah.
just went, and like that was the cool thing is people would save ticket stubs. I don't know if you collected
Yeah,
those, right?
I had, dude, Soli still has, like,
I think I brought some, but my brother had like walls and then like the flyer thing. That
well,
was
even
such a
more
trendy
so
thing
your
to do.
brother, dude, I'm sure had
Yeah.
fucking.
He said, and so what's really funny about him is like that he didn't even listen to a lot of hardcore. He listened to a lot of like Elliott Smith and Sigur Rós and like weird emo stuff.
Yeah,
like
I'm particularly into that kind of
Yeah, yeah.
instrumental,
I mean, me too.
9-minute long song weirdo shit too.
I'm in
so.
a lot of weird stuff. I mean, I listen to country when
I
feel
like
it.
settled down with hardcore. Hardcore is like my hardcore is my halfway point with most people, and then like if I know that I'm listening to my music by myself, I have like really weird drum and bass I listen to. I have like,
Yeah, I'm the
I have like a
same.
lot of weird
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, so like I love hardcore, and that's what I grew up on. And I think you said this the other day. It kind of reminds me of like kind of that just nostalgic feeling. It's like, oh, I remember
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah.
And then so now I listen to like weird stuff. I'll listen to I really love that like funky disco like 95 vibe house music.
Yeah.
Love that stuff.
Yeah, like I have a playlist. It's like janky house type shit. I love it, man.
Yeah,
I
but
love
then so it's cool too is that there's bands like Hope's Fall. They recently came out with a new CD. Have you heard that? It's called Arbiter. I bought it, and it's like very similar to some of their older stuff. They've come out with several new CDs since I was listening to them back in the day, but they have a very unique sound, and they're not really like the hardcore like they used to be.
It's kind of hard to be.
It's weird how sound will change. Like Thrice, their sound has changed completely.
Oh, so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. They went to like
Even-
our project type fucking
Even
music.
from Identity Crisis to Illusion of Safety is
Yeah.
a pretty big difference.
For sure. Well, I feel like Identity Crisis much more like type garage type feel, and then
Right.
dude, I personally think that the Illusion of Safety is the ideal Thrice
I love
sound
that
to me,
one.
because it's just like I feel like every melody, I don't know, it encapsulates that screamo, it like the guitar riffs, the leads, everything, not like way too much double pedal. There's like the singing is so on point. You could tell listening to that back to back. I feel like Identity Crisis, you're like, yeah, this needed to happen because this happened
For
after
sure.
that, you know. The Visu and shit, that record, it's super cool. I fuck with it, but I don't know, man. I have a soft spot as far as like weird artsy type music goes. I go like, I don't know. I listen to like so that dude Sigur Rós, the dude Jonesy, who's the songwriter for that band, has like his own solo project.
Oh yeah, I watched when you were talking about
Yeah,
this the other
Jonesy
day.
and Alex, and it's
yeah.
like super drawn out, weird. He says like 3 Danish words like over the
So
span of 4.
weird.
But I love it, dude. I
right.
love it.
Nobody
so,
else makes anything like that.
Yeah,
so.
and it does something for me emotionally. I think.
Good.
I think it like
Cool.
It's cool that you say good
For sure.
because, yeah, I don't know. I guess it is good. And
Yeah,
we'll just
no,
leave it at that.
I think, a lot of people, so kind of back to what we we're saying, like, so Illusion of Safety, when I hear that, I think of Diablo 2, because my brother would play Diablo 2
For
out,
sure.
and we would just crank that, like, in
Yeah.
a boombox on
Yeah.
the floor. And
In
then,
the boombox.
yeah. So then, it sort of, like, brings back memories, and then I forget how I was going to tie that into what you just said, but...
It's okay.
Emotional. Like, so obviously, like, listen to Final Fight, hearing my brother playing those actual riffs, like, that for sure brings back memories. And then it gets emotional, but
yeah,
I try not to shy away from it, like,
you
I feel like that's kind
like
of
a Jocko Willink approach to the recovery, like a fucking...
I feel like, blocking out emotion or like shutting it down, or like you were talking about thoughts the other day, like that's important when you have thoughts.
I appreciate you listening to me so much.
Yeah, well, but
this is crazy.
Because it resonates with me, because I think about this stuff all the time, much like you do. So it's good when you have a feeling not to push it down and to just sort of be in it and think about why, like what is causing it. Yeah. So like anxiety is a big one that people deal with, that I deal with a lot. So it's like, okay, maybe there's something that I don't have control over, that I'm not thinking about, or whatever the case may be. But if you don't explore those thoughts, or if you shut that out, then you're never going to be able to address that problem.
Well, and it comes back like with a fucking pickaxe, and it will dig its way into your brain. But I mean, like, when I had said that, I was speaking to regards on my meditation, because everybody's like, when you meditate, it's important that the misconception with meditation is the goal is to clear your mind, but I think the goal is to be an absolute facilitator of all things that come into your mind, and to be able to let them leave your mind as easy as they came in. I think that's cool, and to become just kind of this permeable.
I visualized that when you said that. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. So because the more you fight it, now you're no longer making an effort to take emotional inventory of yourself. You're now putting your effort towards blocking these thoughts.
I should do more meditation.
I get up early to do it, and dude, I mean, every family which you have been through is I can't imagine, but everybody's got their own family shit, and that helps me sort out my shit that I locked away in a closet somewhere far along back, and it's not so much if the time comes and I'm thinking about it, then I approach it with it must be time to think about this for right now type feeling, and not like no, I don't want to do this today, because then it's a fucking, especially when you do it at 5:30 in the morning, you have to become this permeable shell, because you gamble your whole day on that, doing it at 5:30 in the morning. Right. You don't want to start that day off in shambles, because then whatever.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's next on the docket?
Yeah. I want to talk to you about, first of all, last time I had seen you, my cousin was in town. She was hanging out with one of the dudes in your band, Mary, and you were in a reggae band that played at Alfredo's. Yes, dude, and you had super long hair, and you definitely were not CEO of PSA Security.
Yeah, that was like my dog training days.
Oh yeah, I remember, and I remember seeing you around town with the dog.
Right. So yeah, kind of after high school, I went to SMC and did some.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. I'm not like military or anything.
He's not a vet. He's just a serious motherfucking badass. And we were about to get into that. So, damn, you guys are just getting into it, huh? Yeah, we are just
chatting.
We're about to kick it on right
Razor
now.
Gang.
Did you bring a gun?
Of course not.
Okay.
No, I mean I could have, but I don't want to be.
You could have.
I mean,
next time bring it.
I didn't really see. If you want to check some out, for sure, I'll pull out bring some for you.
No. I'll pull out my shotgun and we'll do the whole talk.
Yeah,
with guns.
We could do like a gun podcast, but let's see if we have any interest in that. I think a lot of people.
No.
It's like a very.
Interest.
Oh yeah, we do.
That's what this is about. Everybody and Desolate Slayer is a cool dude. He'll be.
Yeah. I figure that people once we start getting into that stuff, we'll get some questions, or hopefully feel free to ask questions if anyone has about anything, or even like if you hate guns. Yeah. Tell me. I like talking to people who don't like...
How often are you defending that subject?
Well, here's the thing. Because I'm such a staunch supporter, I don't have a lot of sympathy for people who are just like kind of spouting bullshit out of their mouth. Like they don't really know what they're talking about.
So if it seems rhetorical or like just kind of like cookie cutter arguments.
So I'll give you an example of the other day. It was maybe a couple weeks ago. Officer shot Hawthorne PD over by REI on Rosecrans.
Oh, yes.
So
Do you know what happened?
I know a little bit. Yeah, it was a domestic violence situation. Guys chasing a lady with a gun, and he's essentially trying to kidnap her. She takes off. Cop responds, finds cop. They exchange shots at one point. Cop is hit. More cops come, and then I think they exchange shots again, and then the guy surrenders. Not completely sure, but that's the story that I'm remembering.
So hyped to have you here right now. This is fucking epic.
So yeah, there was like a big standoff. SWAT was there, all the good stuff. So why were we talking about that again though?
Well, now we were talking about how often you're defending guns, but I'm having questions. You're getting a pen and notebook, dude. I gotta write down my questions.
Yeah, well, so the reason why I said that is because on Facebook. There's a El Segundo Parents Network group.
Yeah, there is.
Someone, whenever something's happening, oh my gosh, what's going on, right? And people are talking, and then someone posts this article about this thing, and then someone comments on there, oh, we need some sort of whatever background check. We need mental health background checks. Okay, so I said
for guns.
Yes, for guns.
Okay.
Which, I have my opinion on that. We can get into that. But I just
all
I told her was that in most cases, and in most likely this case, this person obtained the firearm illegally. And what you're talking about when you say mental health background check is such a broad stroke of your paintbrush. So if I ever have any history of depression as a teen and maybe I sought help, maybe I was on antidepressants at one time, am I going to be banned from being able to have firearms now?
That's a good question.
Maybe I just had a little bit of anxiety, so where's that line drawn? And nobody is addressing that. They're just saying, let's just do this. So that could potentially, there's a lot more behind it. But I just tried to educate her and just said, what if this person obtained the gun illegally? What if he wasn't supposed to have it to begin with because he's a felon? And now you're talking about taking away the rights of people just because they have some mental history and they may be rehabilitated and you don't even know that or not, or they may be trying to. Does that necessarily mean that they shouldn't be afforded the same right to protect themselves as everyone else in society? So I obviously, I'm very passionate. I don't find myself defending it a lot, especially on Facebook, because I'll never change anyone's mind on Facebook.
Okay.
So I try to take an approach of education and just say like, hey, like, look, this is where I'm coming from.
I love seeing your posts on Facebook. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about because you're talking about a TCCC and I don't know what you're talking about. But you're so adamant about your approach that it's almost like I don't know. I love it.
So we can talk about what all that stuff is.
I would love to.
There's a lot of controversy in the medical world, especially when it comes to the gun industry and just how those two things mesh together. And I'm at the forefront of that because of my company. And it's really interesting to sort of have to defend my livelihood at the same time, right?
Right.
I guess when I'm talking to people online, I know I'm not going to change anyone's mind, but I try to approach it in a way that, hey, if I can just like spark that question in their head, like, maybe what I'm saying isn't exactly right. Maybe he does make a good point.
Right.
Then I hope that I can change some people's minds.
For sure. Which is a more useful tool.
Or even if I don't change your mind, at least trigger them to start doing a little bit more research on their end rather than
plant some questions.
Yeah, because what we see a lot of times is people are just repeating what they heard from someone else.
Lazy.
And maybe not even lazy. They just don't know any better.
Yeah. You're just kind of like complacent with information.
There is for sure, yes, and there is for sure a lot of laziness or like, oh, that's too expensive. And it's like, okay, well, how much is your life worth, you know?
Yeah.
So I think like right now I'm kind of trying not to do that as much. But when it comes to medical things, there because of being a stop the bleed instructor, I have to make sure that people are getting the correct information, and I won't suffer fools. Like I won't let somebody talk something that they don't really know what they're saying in front of me. I'll correct them, and I'm not afraid to.
Yeah, you've always been that goes hand in hand with your personality, dude. Shelby, well, the biggest question is, when did you turn from dog walker to fucking to RoboCop, and why did this happen?
So I've always been into firearms, right?
Okay.
And in fact, the reason why I became more interested in dog training than I may have if I was just a regular dog trainer was because I was very interested in search and rescue, police canine work, and all that kind of stuff. Explosives, drug sniffing, all that cool stuff. So when I was in these bands, I kind of like had it in the back of my mind, like, hey, like kind of want to do something bigger. I kind of want to be a cop, kind of want to go to the military. Even when I was in high school, I almost signed up for the Navy before I graduated. So that's always been a part of me, and just kind of like I've always either made an excuse or just came up with a reason or was doing something else. Like I really value my freedom. So military kind of was like, I'm not going to sign my life away for 4 years, but I was still looking for something that I could do that like be a police officer. And so one of the ways that I felt like I could get my foot in the door was to begin working in armed security. I started working as a firearms instructor around 2011. And that I had always sort of loved firearms. Counter-Strike, like we would drop zone, right? Mm-hmm. I always loved firearms.
For sure.
My dad took me shooting first time. I was maybe 8.
Okay.
And we weren't like a shoot every weekend type of family, but when I turned 18, I would go rent a gun and have my day at the shooting range every once in a while.
Oh, okay.
That's not legal anymore. But
is it? It's
you can rent guns, but you can't go by yourself anymore in California.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
We as a family, one of the things we do is we take our shotguns to Chevron.
So yeah, that I remember you. We should talk about that. Oh, that's cool.
We can, but it's there's not much more to it than that. My dad's from the East Coast, and you
trap or skeet,
whatever it is, pull, standing still, shot in different directions. But you have to whatever triple B's isn't. Triple B's is where you have Alpha, for Bravo, Charlie, and then Delta. And you call them out, which is skeet shoot. I think
so
trap is where you just stand there.
Right. So trap, I hope I'm getting this right. So trap is the one where there's the house and then it goes in any direction.
So trap shooting.
And then skeet is where one comes from the left, one comes from the right, and then
but can roll. They have like rollers.
Oh, that's right.
Too.
Yeah.
They'll roll across like a rabbit.
That's
shit.
true.
And
rabbit.
And Delta, well, it can be any 4 of them, but they have them coming at you or away from you.
I had to do that for my shotgun, not my law enforcement certification, but for my civilian shotgun certification as an instructor.
I interrupted you like an idiot, dude.
No,
you were telling me about how you valued your
asked.
freedom, so you didn't want to be.
So yeah, but I've always had that kind of like I want to do something like that, you know. Right. Maybe not necessarily serve my country, but serve my community in some way.
For sure.
So Inside Combat Rescue, that's a TV show on National Geographic. Okay. I would binge watch that show, and I was like, that's what I want to do. PJ, pararescue in Air Force. That's elite military unit. Like, okay. So those are the guys that they go in to the gnarliest, like essentially the soldier that's got hurt, and there's no other way to get this guy out. He's under fire, whatever the case may be. And they go in and fight their way in, get the guy, fight their way out. And so like that was super inspiring to me because these are guys that are going to the pits of hell, right? So to save these guys where nobody else will go, and they're really putting their lives on the line.
Right.
And that inspired me. But then when I decided, okay, I'm not going to do military, I'm probably going to go into law enforcement. This was kind of at the beginning of my firearms instruction career, where I was working with some people who encouraged me to start working in armed security. And so I did, got my certifications for that, and found jobs, wherever I could. I was often working in a medical marijuana dispensary. Eventually I worked for a patrol company where I was driving a car, things like that. I did everything.
Like Brinks type deal?
No. Essentially like visiting businesses or properties in a marked patrol vehicle.
Oh, okay.
Just driving from place
patrol,
to place.
patrol.
Yeah. And
okay.
then like depending on where it is, maybe we'll turn on searchlights or whatever.
Okay, for sure.
So I dipped my feet in everywhere I could. I worked at bars, I worked events, and then that's when I discovered executive protection, which is essentially bodyguarding. I don't like to call it bodyguarding because bodyguard. When I'm doing it, I am being a bodyguard. I'm bodyguarding someone, but executive protection, when I think of a bodyguard, and when most people think of bodyguards, what do you think of? Big, 6'5", 300-pound guy with a thick neck, right?
Yeah. Bouncer type vibe.
Right. So that to me is not that person. In most cases has a very limited skill set. When you're working executive protection for a corporate executive or for an athlete or a celebrity, you don't need that. You need somebody that has a much broader skill set. Depending on who the person is, it could be a variety of different skills.
This
but
is badass,
isn't
dude.
it? So
this is gonna be so sick.
I got very much into that.
How long ago was this?
Oh man. I think I was about 24, 25. So this was
5 years ago.
About 5 years ago,
okay.
Yeah. So got pretty deep in the game. Well, thank you. Oh, missed that coming from Nutty. Thank you. I appreciate that. I continued to try to just sort of get my experience in the field.
Right.
And then I wanted to make myself more marketable before going to a police academy or to become more marketable for EP jobs, executive protection jobs. I wanted to get my EMT license, and then also going along with the lines of like, that sort of pararescue mentality.
For sure.
I wanted to learn life-saving skills. So I went to a program. I was working during the day, doing school at night. While I was doing
full-time grind, huh?
Well, it was just it was a 6-month program, so it was like it was actually at SCROC.
Oh, cool.
I went to SCROC as an adult.
Oh, okay.
with all the I was like the big brother there. It was fun.
Yeah, for sure.
It was cool. Well,
the older I get, the more I value education, dude, for sure.
Yeah, so I just happened to find that place because it worked with my schedule and it was close. So
cool.
Did that, and I just really fell in love with medical. Like I had no idea that I would be so passionate about it. Started learning more about SWAT medic positions, certain things like that, and then of course, as I was doing this and becoming more interested in the medical field. I was thinking of more ways that I could, use these certifications. So executive protection was one of them. I definitely got a lot of jobs just for being, I don't want to say a lot of jobs, but I got some just.
And you've worked those jobs?
Yeah, of course.
Shit.
I've been asked to go certain places just for. I've been asked to go certain places because I'm an EMT, and essentially I was on the range one day teaching a course, and this guy came up to me. He's like, "Hey, can you run a carbine?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh yeah, you're EMT too?" I was like, "Yeah." "Oh, how do you feel about
a carbine?"
A rifle.
Oh, it's not a carbine. It's a carbine.
You call it whatever you want.
Oh, I'm asking you because I don't know.
Carbine.
Like I would say,
I say
carbine.
No, I say carbine.
All right, carbine.
You call it M4. Call it a rifle. You call it whatever you want.
No, we're doing
so. Essentially, he owned and worked next to a guy that they were trying to do overseas work, and I was like, yeah, sorry, bud, like I got a kid on the way.
Yeah.
So and he couldn't even tell me where it was, and so for jobs like that, they're out there. I can definitely do them.
Is
if I
that
want
like Somalian pirate like anti-pirate
that's not
jobs?
as popular. So those jobs are out there. They're not as available as they used to be because they were popularized by that movie, and that is a real issue. There are maritime security officers on a lot of ships, and they're armed with rifles, and they don't let any other ships get close to them.
You can watch on YouTube people trying to come up to fucking.
So that's all real.
It's gnarly,
and that's very necessary.
And you could run that if you needed to.
So me personally, with my company,
whatever.
No, so I don't have international capability like that right now. But if I decided like, hey, yeah, I want to go work a job like that,
but
and
you have the tactical response.
Oh yeah, for sure. I definitely
to coordinate that.
I think with my resume, so to coordinate a team on a ship like that,
yes,
that requires, again, a very specific skill set, very specific training, which no, I don't have maritime training like that.
It's okay, dude.
However, I know I could get into a training program and finish like a month and get a job if I wanted to.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But I could never do that. Carbon. Yeah. He's a dork for saying carbon. Carbon, same thing.
Okay.
So yeah, along those lines, that's when I was like, wow. So I actually really love medical. I didn't even know if I wanted to do security or law enforcement anymore.
Okay.
But that was the goal originally. It's like I want to have something to be a cross-trained EMT police officer.
For sure.
So graduated EMT school, fell in love with medical field, and I was like, okay, I actually really enjoy. Or I want to get into working in hospital rather than pre-hospital.
Okay.
I went and got my phlebotomy license, which is to draw blood.
Okay.
And you can do a host of other things. But that was and still is a very sought after position, EMT phlebotomist. You're working in a hospital, typically in the emergency department as an ER tech. That's what you're called.
Okay.
So that's a pretty cool job, like if you can get it. So that was my goal. Did the phlebotomy program, learned about testing and like all that cool stuff. Like when you get your blood drawn and you look at the sheet and it tells you what your cholesterol levels and all that different stuff. I kind of learned what all those things are. Had to do a certain amount of blood draws in a clinical setting, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. Tried to get a job, wasn't very successful, and then
getting a job.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
because I didn't have experience. I didn't have that clinical experience that they were really looking for.
Okay. So like people who are that now, like had been a nurse before, like a paramedic.
Yeah, so you could be a medical assistant and not have a phlebotomy license
and still do
and
it.
you can still give injections and things like that.
Okay.
And then sort of kind of work your way to getting the phlebotomy license.
Okay.
But there are people who have only phlebotomy license and they're traveling phlebotomists and they go across this country or state and they're going to people's houses for insurance companies doing blood draws or whatever. There's so many things.
Cool.
It was right after that I got the opportunity to start my own company, to start my own private security company. I had accumulated enough experience, enough work experience that I could get my license to own a company. But while I was creating my business plan for a security company, I was like, wait a minute, like, what about, I had this vision of an EMT working as a security officer, which for a period of time, I was an EMT working as a security officer. And the first time I don't like to say I saved someone's life, but the first time I did, I was working as a security officer. And
you've saved someone's life before?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess that sounds like such a silly question because you're a professional, but oh my gosh.
I'll let you decide, okay?
I'm a fucking graphic designer, so I'm like good at Band-Aid, and anything after that, I'm like, what the fuck
this was before I even graduated. I was working in a medical marijuana dispensary. This individual I believe he had cerebral palsy. So if you're not familiar with what that is, over time, your muscles become so atrophied that you start to kind of get kind of clenched up like this.
Okay.
So to counteract that, this person was strapped down in his wheelchair. He's got a custom wheelchair. He can only move it with his hand.
Okay.
Can't speak very well, just because he doesn't have the ability to control the muscles in his tongue and things like that. So people with cerebral palsy also are commonly found to have seizure disorders. Holding the door open for this gentleman after he gets his medicine, and he's wearing sunglasses, and he just kind of stops there in the middle of the lobby. I'm holding the door open for him. I'm kind of confused. I'm like, it's like, okay, Mr. Johnson, whatever his name is, have a good day. And then he's just kind of sitting there. He just sort of started like kind of shaking a little bit. I was like, okay, I think he's having a seizure. So I kind of go up to him, and mind you, he's strapped down in this wheelchair, and he's not breathing. So I tilt his head back to try to open up his airway. Still not breathing. I look at the guy who's sitting in the lobby, who also happens to be in a wheelchair. His name was Roller. Shout out to Roller. Love that guy. He was like a gangster when he got shot.
Oh no! It hit him in the spinal cord.
Yeah. So, but he's such a cool like OG guy.
For sure.
So I'm like, Roller, like call 911 and then call Cisco, who's one of the other bigger guys that was working there, to come out here because we needed to take him out of his chair and lay him on his side.
For sure.
So
recovery position.
Exactly, left side recovery. He still wasn't breathing for a while, so I had a CPR mask in my pocket, so I took that out. Was ready to start giving him breaths. He kind of comes to, starts breathing again, and kind of wakes up. I was like, hey, are you okay? Start asking him my questions. And he's like, yeah, I had a seizure. I haven't had my medicine. His marijuana was literally his medicine, and he hadn't had it for a couple days. So that's why he was there, and that's why he was having a seizure. Because he hadn't smoked his weed in a little while. He just would get little joints.
And it would help him with his seizures?
He would not have seizures.
Holy smokes.
It's real. It's a real thing. So that's what he was telling me. And we're waiting for the paramedics to come. Has another seizure. Stops breathing again. So we're, like kind of holding him, making sure he doesn't, like hurt himself. Anyways, paramedics come. He's good. He's able to sign his name, and against medical advice, that's what we call it, AMA, they don't transport him to the hospital because he's conscious, he's alert, he's awake, he can answer questions, he knows what happened. And this is the funny part. The paramedics are like, okay, dude, like just go around the corner and like smoke some of your weed. So you'll be good. Yeah. They asked us, they were like, can you like smoke in here? And we're like, no, there's like a rule against that. But they like it was funny. And the guy looks at me and he's like, hey dude, good job. I was like, yeah, I'm going to EMT school. And he's like, oh, come apply LAFD, like we'll get you in or whatever. And
sick.
He was like, you've been working out here for a while? I was like, yeah, a couple years. And he's like, yeah, well, you got to apply for the academy. And I was like, I don't want to do fire. I don't. That's not my thing.
Okay.
So.
Well,
that was cool.
I'm giving you the Medal of Honor, dude. That's fucking rad. You had a CPR mask in your pocket?
Yeah, and I had recently got it because I was thinking, I don't. We'll get more into why I carry medical supplies on me all the time.
Because you carry yourself like a professional.
Well, that was the thing. It's like I'm not gonna be able to go run to my car and go get something on my car where someone needs CPR, right? So
this is some of the things I see you say online. Like you're very adamant about handling this in the most professional. Like even in your responses to people's comments, you can tell that you have this stolid demeanor about yourself when you're on response.
Sometimes I lose it. Like there are some guys that I just can't.
You carry yourself online like the professional who would have a CPR mask in their pocket.
I had a glove pouch. They make these little glove pouches that you can wear on your duty belt. And
do you wear a fanny pack?
I do.
Get into that, yeah.
Yeah, I got one. I went to Disneyland yesterday for sure. Fanny pack.
For sure, you got it. Okay, had to ask.
I don't have like an obnoxious one. I just got like a blue little Patagonia small.
Okay, mine's like a very like a utilitarian. It's like it's got like a little bit of a padded back. You can strap something to the bottom of it. It's like it's not like a fashion thing. It's like a
backpacker's fanny pack.
Well, I got a 10-speed bike now. Instead of driving to work, I got to fucking let people know I'm fucking for real. Okay, I digress. Your story's way sicker than that.
I forget where we were at with that.
Dude, we were talking about how your glove.
So when that happened, so I have that, and then instead of putting gloves in one of the pockets, I put the CPR pouch, and then it came in handy one day. But actually, I didn't have to use it because by the time he stopped seizing and regained his breathing, essentially I just had to position his head in a way that would keep his airway open. But what can happen with these with individuals that have cerebral palsy, if they have seizures, they also will have a lot of secretions from their mouth. They'll salivate a lot, and then they can aspirate that or choke on that, and then that can really cause problems. So that was the one thing that was concerning me. And well, anyways, if here was my point, is that if the other security officer had been working that day instead of me, who knows what would have happened to that guy. He may have taken a long time to recognize that he was seizing. It could have gone
could have been all bad.
And because the other guy that was working, my coworker,
Roller.
No.
Oh, okay.
Another security officer.
Cisco.
No, another one.
Another guy.
Another guy that wasn't there that day.
Oh,
so if we would have been switched and the other guy was working and I was off, like that, the other security officer probably wouldn't have had the same response.
Yeah.
So
no, that's legit. Good.
Yeah. That's kind of where I
for sure
stand with that. So that was when I realized, and that essentially, a lot of the times that I've provided care, medical care to a bystander, to somebody I don't know, it has been in a security capacity, like I've been in a security uniform, or just by passing it on the street, something, car accident, whatever.
Yeah.
It's we don't get to choose when those things happen to us. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. I wear this bike helmet right now.
And you have to, dude.
Yeah, and it kind of makes you look like a fucking tool, but it's you only need a helmet. You only figure out you need a helmet when you wish you had a helmet on,
That's right.
Yeah.
A lot of people suffer that. Like, that's a big thing with my son. I do not let him ride anything without a helmet.
For sure, and especially now that you have a son, you're probably more prone to like take better care of yourself, huh?
Not only that, I try to make sure that the people who are watching him have this level of training, CPR, stop the bleed. I want to make sure that if you're taking care of my son, that he's in good hands.
Yeah, you have a little bit of you have a high expectation for people who have your eyes on your boy, huh?
Well,
everybody should in your eyes, huh?
No, not at all. I mean, I don't consider myself any smarter, better. Like I'm a regular trained guy. I have a little bit more education. Yeah, and I practice a lot. I practice everything. I have a thirst for knowledge, for sure. I'm very passionate. When I get passionate about something, I want to be the best at it. I want to do it to the fullest, right? So when I was a dog trainer,
I know how that is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So when I was a dog trainer, I didn't want to just stop at just basic obedience. When I was a firearms instructor, I don't want to just teach basic pistol.
Yeah, you wanted to be Rambo and you wanted to be the dog whisperer.
Right. Yeah. So I'm constantly in the research game. So much of my free time is spent on the computer researching self-defense encounters or violent encounters, accidents, after action plan, like things that after action reports, like from tragedies, we can look and see what happened and see what the response was like to see how we can respond better for the next one. So I spend a lot of time looking at all this stuff. Live Leak, World Star, like I save videos and show them to my students. So that's kind of where that comes from. Like, I'm very passionate in regards to trying to learn as much as I can about a particular subject. Like, because I know I know that I'm so like low on the totem pole when it comes to being an instructor. There are some guys that I will go train with, myself. Like, I still go get training, like I try to take a class once a month at least.
Do you have a mentor? in this department? Do you have somebody that you call up?
So he would be, he's essentially what we call a training counselor. So he trains trainers. And when my very first formal firearm lesson, not from my dad, from an actual firearms instructor, I wanted to buy a shotgun. I was 20, 21, maybe 22. Wanted to buy a shotgun, went and took a class. The instructor there was like, hey, you're a pretty good shot. I was like, thanks. Came back because I wanted to take his pistol class. I had never been formally taught how to shoot a pistol. So I wanted to learn how to do it properly. And it really blew my mind, opened my eyes. And while we were doing this, or while I was in the class, he was like kind of having me peer coach some people. Because I think he just saw that...
trusted your ability.
Yeah, he's just kind of like keep an eye on this guy.
Yeah.
Who that guy actually eventually also became an instructor for this guy too. So
cool.
He kind of took me under his wing, and I approached him and I said, hey, I'd love to volunteer for you and just kind of like help you out during these classes. He's like, oh, well, you got to be a certified instructor, and my next program coming up for that is going to be so-and-so. Paid him money, and got my first pistol instructor certification. And then from there, it was really trying to learn about how to diagnose, how to teach new shooters, and how to get them actually hitting the target to prepare them for whatever's next, for whatever's next in their training. And I learned a lot, and I later on learned that everything I learned in the beginning was not everything, but a lot of what I learned was just sort of like this institutionalized dogma. Like it was just like you have to do certain things this way, and I would sort of question them in the back of my mind, but then I would like go and do the research and figure out if someone is shooting a certain way or having a particular problem, what are some things that I can recommend for them to help them with their shooting. So that's one thing is about being a firearms instructor is like I could be an excellent shooter. I could score, really well in competition, but that doesn't mean I'm going to be able to teach you how to shoot or to teach someone else how to shoot. And that there were certain things that I learned from him, such as sometimes I tend to over-instruct. I want to correct everything on this person,
instead of just like chipping away at one problem at a time.
Right. And so I learned that from him, and then he told me that he actually said this in front of a class the other day. He said that because I was a dog trainer, he thinks I have very good instincts, and that him and I will notice the same things about shooters. And so that over time, that was just an experience thing, helping him teach other people how to shoot turned me into a better shooter. So now when I'm out on the range and I'm missing my shots, I know why, and I can do whatever I need to do to fix that. So that's actually why I wanted to be an instructor, to make myself a better instructor, to make myself a better shooter.
For sure. Yeah.
I was more interested in learning how to shoot better than to actually teach other people. But of course, I was happy to volunteer for his classes, and I learned so much from teaching, especially in those first 2-3 years. So then I got more certifications. I've got my rifle, and then my shotgun certification. I got a range safety officer certification.
How many certifications do you have right now?
Oh God, a lot more.
Like 15?
Yeah, I guess. I
Wow.
mean, I don't know.
Is that all pieces of paper or stickers on your ID? What does it mean?
If you come into my office, you'll see a couple certificates. Like the main ones are like my law enforcement instructor, and then.
Do you have a brochure printed?
Yeah, I do. They're in my car. I'll give you one. Yeah.
Yeah, give me one. I'll put it in the office. I like all of my guests. I want to have like a piece.
Yeah, that would be cool. And you know what? Actually, I have a sticker. I have a sticker.
Hook it up. I'll put it up for sure.
Give you a sticker.
I'd love to have one in here. That'd be fucking sweet, dude. Before we carry on any more information, I have a couple questions regarding what you said.
Let's do it.
One is how you can teach people. I've been listening to like a lot of. I've been listening to a lot of Jocko Willink and a lot of Goggins lately, and I realize both of them I think are important reads. David Goggins, I appreciate his ability to overcome himself, but I don't see him the same way I see Jocko Willink as a team member, as I sense more of like a, I don't know. I appreciate David Goggins in his physical drive, but Jocko I see much more as a tactical, team-based person.
Very much.
And so I have some questions. He was talking about buds training for Navy SEALs,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the biggest things about having these guys laying in Hell Week water torture is they are simulating stressful situations.
Yes.
So that they are able to perform in stressful situations. Is there a way to, without telling the people you're teaching how to shoot these guns to go lay face down on a beach, is there a way to simulate stress for efficient training, or is that just something that is kind of left out of the game because it's hard to simulate that?
In a beginner class, in a basic pistol class, we're not going to do much to inoculate stress. We call it stress inoculation.
Okay.
When we start getting into a home defense course, an intermediate or a defensive pistol course where there's more fighting involved, a couple ways we'll do that is we'll add the timer. When the person feels like they need to beat a timer, that adds stress.
Okay.
Another way that we'll do that is we will yell at you.
Yeah. Yeah, like boot camp.
Yeah.
That shit
because
works.
it creates stress.
Yeah, it works.
And it might even be something as simple as like, oh my God, like I'm just like pretending like I'm some screaming lady in the background.
Right.
Or I might be right next to you screaming in your ear to
Shoot.
fix the malfunction that you don't even see it because you're trying to pull the trigger still.
For sure. So there is stress simulation in training.
And we always need to keep it safe. So that's the limiting factor there. We're not going to ever push somebody so hard that we will create a dangerous situation.
For sure.
You've seen that picture of me getting sprayed down with the blood. That's
Yes.
another way to do it. So when I was doing that, they with duct tape, I was holding a 10-pound dumbbell, and then they had a 10-pound medicine ball. I was holding it like this, and they wrapped my arm with duct tape around these items. So now not only am I holding this while I have to draw my firearm and shoot, I'm getting sprayed down with this fake blood to simulate an injury, and then I have to apply my tourniquet. And so
is that what it would? Is it? I mean, it's obviously a dumbbell and a medicine ball, but is that is that similar? Is that a similar feeling?
Well,
to
it doesn't hurt.
Would your arm function the same way?
No, not at all. And so that's what we're simulating there. Is like you're not able to move your arm, and it's going to be a mangled mess if it gets blown off or shot.
Yeah.
It's funny, when I had to do that and I was trying to apply my tourniquet, the strap came through the buckle, and I had to. I brought a tourniquet. I can kind of show you.
Fucking do it, dude. So, yes. Fuck yes.
That picture is in training, and so
what do we got here? So make sure that it's just in the camera. If you need me to adjust it,
let's see. Where can I?
You know what we could do?
Here we
dude?
go. No, this is good. So, okay. So when I was trying to apply it, I had to undo this part, and when I was trying to fit this loop over that medicine ball,
right,
this part came out of the buckle, and I was kind of like, oh great. So I had to fish this red tip back in through here with one hand.
And that's an official tourniquet, huh?
Yeah, well, this is a training tourniquet because it's blue.
Okay, what's the official tourniquet color?
Black or orange or black, orange. They come in all different colors, but the official cat tourniquet. So yeah, if you want to like slip that on your leg, you could feel what it feels like.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you can hook it over your.
Man, this is the first time anyone's brought.
So I'll let you apply it first, and then I'll apply it to you, so you can see what it really is supposed to feel like. So you want to go high and tight. You want to go
higher than this?
You're either going to go 2 to 4 inches above your wound, or you're going to go high and tight. So
all right, so let's say I took a hip shot right
Yeah,
there.
so I would say go up a little bit higher where it's a little bit more meat.
Okay.
And then that...
Here, I'm going to I'm gonna aim this shit.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. So what you got to do?
So we took the shot right here.
You got to pull that strap as tight as you possibly can.
Like tight, cut off blood pressure.
Yeah. So like you're gonna do it, and then I'm gonna do it, and then you'll see what it really feels like.
Oh shit, yo, that is.
So
tight.
now go ahead and turn it.
This?
Yes, you're gonna crank that like you're turning the water off on a faucet.
Oh my god.
And you can feel it already, right?
Yes.
You feel that discomfort, and then once the bleeding has stopped, then you're gonna clip it into the little windlass clip on the side. It's kind of under your leg. You don't have to if you don't want to.
Yeah, there's no way I could go any tighter than that.
So here, I'll put it on myself, and I'll kind of show you how tight we actually need to pull it.
I want to show these folks real quick. So not only is it a strap like a Velcro belt. Hold on.
It's like weird, huh? It's so hard.
Okay. There we are. Okay. So not only is it a belt type deal, but you have this part. What's this called?
That's the windlass.
The windlass. You spin it and it creates more minute pressure. It's fucking.
So you've probably thought of, or you've probably seen like, oh, wow. I had to use my belt to stop the bleeding. That this is the commercial version. Like this is what we're carrying on the ambulance.
Yeah, this isn't fucking Die Hard where they rip off take off the fucking belt loop and
right. And we advise against people like if you're planning to do that, that's not a good plan.
Just because there's no way to keep consistent pressure. Doing something like
that?
that?
Yeah, they're known to fail. They're known to be ineffective, and they're just known to take a long time. Like so, and especially if you've never created an improvised tourniquet before from the materials that you have around you, and the person's bleeding to death, they can bleed to death in as little as 3 minutes.
How long does it take to bleed out?
So depending on where your injury is.
One gunshot wound. Me right here with a fucking 9mm. Bah, shoot you in the leg. How long you got?
3 to 5 minutes. But if that hits my femoral artery and it's a decent, like I'm going to go unconscious in less than 30 seconds from blood loss if we don't stop that.
Really?
Right. So that's why
this is my favorite podcast so far.
So
Sorry, Christian.
when we're training these, that's what we're doing is we're saying, hey, you need to apply this within 30 seconds. Why? Because you might lose consciousness. And then that also brings up the point. That's why you should be carrying it on you at all times.
Yeah.
Right? And now a lot of people don't do that.
Do they have those at schools and shit?
Good question, huh?
Yeah.
No, they don't. You know what they have?
I'm starting to see what they need. They need PSA security.
You know what they have, though?
What?
They have little OSHA first aid boo-boo kits that have Band-Aids and maybe a couple 4x4s of gauze.
No, they gotta get real.
So I work pretty closely with some churches. One of them happens to have a high school. That's one of the things I'm working with them right now. We're going to put one of these kits in every single classroom. And that's the whole point of Stop the Bleed.
Is that your kit?
I've got a couple in here. So
dude, fucking pop it out, man.
So this is a public access bleeding control kit. So this is
vacuum sealed, so I'm not gonna pop this open. But why don't you tell us what's inside this?
So,
and as we're playing with our toys, let's make sure we're talking to the microphones.
Yeah. Well, you go ahead and check that out.
What do you mean check it out? Like open it?
If you want to, you can. I have plenty of those.
Is this yours?
I mean,
why don't you fucking open it, man? No,
I'm
gonna open
if you
it.
no,
Fuck
let's
you.
so you can get like the actual training experience. We'll have you open it.
Okay, for sure.
So check this out.
Shit, you ready for this, Desolate?
So what we're doing with these kits is you can see it says public access bleeding on there. It's got instructions. It's got a content list. What we're trying to do with the Stop the Bleed program is essentially Stop the Bleed is a national initiative, very similar to what we're seeing with CPR. National push for people to learn CPR, right?
Okay.
But what now we're trying to do is to teach people these other life-saving skills that you're actually more likely to use than CPR. So
I don't know CPR. Am I fucking blowing it?
No, because like I just said, you're more likely to use bleeding control techniques than you are to use CPR.
Okay.
Yeah. So
why don't you teach me a bleeding
Oh yeah,
It's
I've got everything.
technique tonight.
I've got everything here. So
This is fucking awesome, dude.
the only
Okay,
thing I
so-
didn't bring is fake blood because that gets messy.
Yes, I appreciate you not bringing that.
So yeah, that's your tourniquet, and because that's a real tourniquet, you don't want to use it. You only want to use a blue one for training. But like if in a real life situation, you would want to use that.
So that people could identify that you're having a situation from afar.
So that's why it's orange. It's orange for high visibility. That's what the red tip is for.
Okay.
So they make black ones too. You might see black ones.
Okay.
And that still has the red tip, but those are like the tactical version.
Okay.
This is the rescue version that you'll see on fire, like an ambulance or the fire department.
So
They're
they
stocking
can quickly
these.
identify where the tourniquet is applied.
Yeah. It's so you could see it better.
Okay.
And then it's staged so that it's like ready to go out the bag. So
we
those are
have
trauma shears. When
trauma
shears, yeah. So what we're doing with those is we're cutting off clothes, and we're gonna look for any hidden wounds. Like for instance, if you get shot, you might have an entry and an exit. If you're laying on it, we wouldn't see that.
Is this number one? This is first. Clothes are coming off.
Depends. It's ideal. It's ideal for me to apply a tourniquet on bare skin. But if I can't, then I can apply it over clothing.
Okay.
But if I have a bunch of cell phones and knives and screwdrivers in my pocket, I'm not going to be able to apply it over that.
Right.
So in most cases, it's just best to just cut off the pants.
For sure.
Yeah.
And you see, and that's pretty common. You see that all over. Like
to have their
like
pants cut off
ambulance
for
and
sure.
shit,
Yeah,
like
if you
the
got
first
hurt,
thing that
you're gonna
happened.
get some. Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Because we're just gonna look for hidden wounds.
Very cool. Okay.
The
here we have a survival blanket.
yeah, so that's kind of towards the end. Once we've helped the person and we save their life, we're gonna preserve warmth because cold blood doesn't clot well. So there's sort of we call it a lethal triad.
And what exactly is a survival blanket? Is it
It's
a
like
foil
so it's like one of those Mylar space blankets.
Okay.
But essentially why we do that is because as the person is losing their blood, if they've had a massive amount of blood loss, they're also losing their ability to regulate their body temperature.
Okay.
And so as their body temperature goes lower and they go into hypothermia, their body does not clot, their blood does not clot as well. So that massive hemorrhage is just continuing to bleed worse and worse.
Is that one of the last things you feel before you die is cold? Is that why people are like, I'm cold?
I don't know. I've never died.
Oh, fuck. I don't know.
But yeah, I can imagine.
What do we got here? We have.
So those are
your
just like
gloves.
little glove kit. Yeah. You always want to
is-
protect yourself from
this is
bloodborne
fucking-
pathogens.
This seems important.
So
this shit isn't everywhere. Like not
no,
every-
and so like I said, what we're trying to do is with this program, it's a national initiative to get these kits in every school, every public place. We're starting to see them in airports and in malls, and what we're trying to do is to have them right next to where the AED is. And you know what an AED is, right?
AED is that
Automatic external defibrillator.
Oh yeah, no. Oh, I was thinking the bomb.
Oh yeah. So when you're in cardiac arrest and they hook you up to the pad.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
That's an AED.
So
So when that's a pressure bandage. When you're in the mall and you're walking around, have you noticed that they have AEDs in malls?
Yes.
And so what we're trying to do is to have these kits placed right next to or inside those AED cabinets.
Now, when you say we, is your company at the forefront here?
I definitely provide them to my clients, especially, like I was saying, churches, schools, and they're not free, of course, but it's my job. It's my job to educate them on why it's so important to have these and why it's important not to just have one in just one central location.
No, have a fucking closet.
You need to have one in, especially for a school, in every single room.
Right.
So we've seen Virginia Tech, other school shootings where after people were injured, they barricaded themselves inside of a room. How long is it going to be for that medical response to get there. It's gonna be a long time.
Yeah.
So if there's no medical supplies in that room, then you're stuck with improvising, and you
So
may
every
not have a
classroom
lot.
should have one.
At least one.
How
How
much does it cost? All of this.
So
how
that
much all of
kit
this?
right there, that one, if I'm gonna sell that one,
Yeah.
I think we're selling those like in the $60 range.
For
And
sure.
they've got a little more. This one's more advanced. So this is one like that's my company.
Oh,
We
shit.
made that one. So that one's got a little bit more stuff in it.
Okay. Oh, this one's fucking got. Hold on, but I got questions about this one.
Okay,
Hold
yeah,
this
yeah.
for a
Well,
second.
this
'cause-
one just has extra stuff in it.
Okay, for sure, and we'll talk about that extra stuff. So, is this gauze? Everybody has seen fucking gauze before, but the proper use of gauze, it's like a topical clot, isn't it?
So
does it serve as a clot when your body
You're probably
won't?
thinking of those like regular 4x4 type bandages that you put over when you have like a
Yes.
big scrape or something. right?
Okay.
So that's gauze, but that's a 4x4. This is compressed gauze. This is 4 feet of gauze in there, or maybe even more.
Okay.
And
Sticks to itself.
it doesn't stick to itself. It's just plain.
It's
It's just plain compressed gauze.
Bar of soap.
And
Tight.
that is so once you take it out, it does feel kind of like a bar of soap, but it unravels really easily, and that's what we're using for wound packing.
Okay.
So with tourniquets,
Wound packing.
So with tourniquets, we're only using tourniquets if the injury is on the arm or the leg. We can't put a tourniquet on your hip
On a neck.
or your neck or your shoulder. So
Okay.
so armpits, shoulders, neck,
Right.
and then pelvic area, groin.
Yeah.
We can't use these, so we're gonna do wound packing, and then that's where
More toys.
we're quite literally inserting the gauze into the wound. So
Shit.
I brought the stab wound. This kind of looks like something that Mr. Nutty would enjoy playing with.
Look at that. This is fucking
So this
awesome.
this is a fake stab wound, and you can go ahead and stick your finger in there.
I'm gotta stick my
You
finger
can
in
feel that it's kind of fleshy, and it's obviously looks realistic, and that's an active bleeding trainer.
Is this what this would feel like?
Yeah, I mean it'd be hot.
It'd be super hot.
Yeah, and it'll probably be a little more wet because you will feel
Yeah,
the
'cause
blood.
the blood. But when you
We
use the
hook
fake
it
blood,
up,
it
yeah.
feels.
We hook it up to that little hose, and we pump fake blood through there. So once the student sees the blood coming out, they have to go and start packing. And we try to teach students not to just pack indiscriminately. You want to really find the source of the bleeding and apply the gauze directly to that source of bleeding. And there's specific technique.
Can you control where exactly the bleeding is coming out of on that, or does that thing just generally bleed and you just try to stop the bleeding?
There's that hose just comes up to one point under, like at the bottom of the wound there, and so it essentially only comes from that one spot. But when you're viewing it from the top, it fills up the cavity, and then it starts just kind of oozing out of the top.
And is that the way a body would react? Is that more to demonstrate how a clot would work?
No. So this is a wound packing trainer. This is for students to practice the technique of wound packing while their hands are getting bloody, while they're having to maneuver while wearing gloves, and how they essentially. So like you were saying, it wouldn't be the first time that they have to do it.
For sure.
When
Which
they
is
do it in
important,
real life.
right?
Yes, but also, I don't have any trainers that are so hyper realistic that they can be so much like the real thing.
Okay,
But they definitely make some like that.
And then our last, and then a Sharpie for.
Sharpie. So once we've applied the tourniquet, especially if we have a lot of patients that we're taking to the hospital and they've had their tourniquets applied at different times, we're gonna write the time. Is it gonna?
Oh, the time in which it was applied.
The time that it was applied. So once they get to the hospital, they know who's been wearing it the longest and how long it's been for. It gives them a better idea.
You really are
what
the
they're
first
dealing with.
responders, dude.
You are the first responder. That's the whole point. Is that we are our own first responder at all times. And that's so like this is a lot of the part of the message that I try to convey for people.
Thank you for bringing this. This is a spectacular presentation.
And also,
so cool, dude.
I in the same sense, I am my own security. I am my family's lead executive protection agent. I'm in charge of their security detail when we go to the store, when we go to Disneyland. There's not anyone else out there protecting us. And people sort of get this false sense of security that like the the whoever is gonna come save him.
Yeah.
But like that's one of the biggest things that we're trying to educate people on is that 3 to 5 minutes, you can bleed out in 3 to 5 minutes, and an ambulance response time could be as long as 10. In some cases, 7 minutes. Sometimes, if you're lucky, it will be 5. But especially if you live in a rural area, or you're out hiking, rock climbing, and you don't have that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm always
essential.
and if I'm not bringing this actual kit, I'll be bringing particular pieces from this kit. Like I always at least have my tourniquet. Especially like snowboarding. Even snowboarding, I'll carry one.
Wow. Is it hard for you to relax?
No, not at all. In fact, it helps.
You're more relaxed.
Yeah, well, I have less to worry. I don't have to worry that if something happens, that I'm not prepared.
Sure.
Yeah, and in the same sense, I'm just trying to. I'm not trying to push this on anybody. I'm just trying to enlighten people so that they can maybe think that, that they may not be actually as prepared as they maybe think they are, especially if you're a parent.
Right.
That's so important, man. Like it's crazy about like some of the injuries I've heard about or seen, and a big reason why this Stop the Bleed program was started was because of the Sandy Hook shooting.
Mm-hmm.
The Sandy Hook, unfortunately, a lot of those victims died from injuries. They were preventable deaths. If they had the training, if they had the equipment, the medical gear on site, a lot of those lives could have actually been saved. And they found that by after action report, they did autopsies on all the victims and everything, and they found that.
Holy fuck,
yeah.
dude.
So imagine if every single person had this. If every single person has a tourniquet. Think of the amount of preventable deaths that literally could be prevented just by having simple training, like this 2-hour course, and then you keep this little plastic bag in your car.
And it's just a 2-hour course,
It's only a 2-hour course.
Provided by you.
For Stop the Bleed. So what I'm doing now is I'm doing a CPR and Stop the Bleed block together. It's a 4-hour course. And we call it's essentially like a lifesaver course because it's the basic life-saving skills that you need for anybody. I think every single person needs to know it.
Oh, Stanch Carrot, thanks for the host. Yo, Stanch, you fucking missing out on my boy Shelby. So here, let me catch up on the comments real quick. People die so much because they don't have this. No, you need to push this. Dude, Desolate is feeling this shit.
Good. I'm glad.
Kind of seems like a conspiracy with the government not having these everywhere to regulate the population. Damn, bro, that's deep. What kind of wound that is serious? What kind of wound that is serious would you have the most time before you bleed out?
Would you have the most time?
Like the quickest time to bleed out? I'd have to imagine I think
he's saying like if I get a wound, like what type of wound can I survive the longest without treatment? Is that what you're saying?
Wouldn't that be like the fucking paper cut?
I don't know. Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
I mean, I think so there are certain wounds like amputations, like if your leg gets completely cut off,
for sure,
our body's vasculature has the ability to constrict itself and to prevent some of that blood flow, but it can only compensate for so long. So it may not look like it's bleeding a lot, but eventually it's gonna release and you're gonna die.
Construction needs this shit, dude.
My most recent course, I didn't post a lot about it.
Every construction person knows somebody who's done some stupid shit to themselves.
My dad works in construction. I make for sure that he has one. I just taught a Stop the Bleed course for a roofing company, and it wasn't just the roofers. It was also the office staff, and this company put pretty comprehensive bleeding control kits in every truck, and they gave every employee again a bleeding kit for them to actually take home with them.
That sounds so smart.
Yeah, because I mean, what point would it be providing them with this training and then one of them goes home and then dies?
Go find fucking compressed gauze, dude.
Well, or like if something were to happen to them, it's like, oh, they had this training but they just didn't have the kit. Yeah.
Fuck. So A couple things. I was gonna ask you back in the
Yeah.
time, but I have it written down. That is it hard? Is it harder to do what you want to do with your security service in California than it would be to just do your fucking security thing in Nevada or some shit?
Absolutely. California, not only is it
They like want to get shot.
it's difficult. Running a business in general in California, I feel is very difficult. Now,
Why is that?
Just regulations and well, now, because especially for the security industry, it is so saturated. There are so many security companies, and so now they're trying to crack down a little bit on that. They're making the requirements a little bit harder in order for you to start a company or to even start a security training company.
That doesn't sound so bad for someone like you who has made such an effort to be as prestigious as possible.
Even still,
resume.
I'm having to provide a lot of documentation or whatever. I don't care about it now because I'm in it. I got everything I need.
You're good now.
But it was not so easy to start up. Like I was anticipating maybe like a 6-month startup time, and it ended up being a year.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah. And then the training facility, the permits for that didn't come until way later than we anticipated too. So that they make that hard. And now also in California, if I want to buy ammunition, I don't get to go to the store. I don't get to go. Well, I can go buy it at the store, but I don't get to go online to my favorite online store and buy in bulk and have it shipped to my home. Which, as an instructor, when I'm buying cases of thousands of rounds, I don't want to have to go to a store where they're going to charge me an extra $50.
You have thousands of rounds?
Maybe.
Yeah.
We don't. We should not have to. There's a new law that was recently passed. I have to go and pick it up from a federal firearms dealer, and then they charge me per round, per box, whatever extra fee they want to
like
transfer.
as a tax, like does it go
part
to
of
shop?
Part of it is tax, and part of it is a transfer fee for them accepting.
Taxes?
Do I have a problem paying taxes? I believe that there should. Yeah, I believe in less government.
You're
regulation.
libertarian.
I think I am a little bit. Yeah. I think I am.
I feel like someone of your stature would end up being kind of
I had been thinking about that recently. I don't necessarily I've never said that.
Well, you're a do-it-yourself kind of guy. You don't fucking need
for sure. Like I think that I don't want to say that we don't need taxes because we for sure do.
Yeah, roads and whatnot.
But I definitely am one to believe in limited government restriction on my life.
For sure.
Which is kind of where the gun things come from.
Yeah, absolutely.
So and another point, this is actually really cool. Something that happened recently in California. There for the past 20 years has been a law that our handguns, our rifles, our shotguns can only have 10 rounds. 10 rounds maximum. There's a ban on high capacity magazines, or in what other states they call standard magazines, 30 round magazine for a rifle,
right?
For a Glock 17 carries 17 rounds,
right?
For 20 years we weren't allowed to have that. So any person that was working for me, armed security, they are limited to those 10 rounds, where in other states like Nevada they could carry whatever,
surplus.
Yeah, and
so you guys need to be good shots.
That directly affects your ability to defend yourself,
for sure.
So here's the cool thing that happened. Honorable Judge Benitez, federal judge, determined that that's unconstitutional, specifically citing a case where a female defended herself using more than 10 rounds. So that penal code that was established 20 years ago, banning the possession and sale and import of high capacity or standard magazines, was just gone.
Oh, wow.
The Great Magazine Rush.
Oh, is that what they're calling that?
There was 1 week before the Attorney General applied and was granted a stay on the original penal code, so put it back in its place.
Right.
However, it was a specific stay. So for a week, California gun owners were buying gun magazines like crazy. I think the projections are over 3 million, 2 million magazines. Yeah, a lot of magazines came into California.
Fuck.
And then after a week, the stay reversed it, and so If you got them, then you were legal.
You could keep them.
But if you, you can't go to a store and buy them now. But like you were saying, like that does make it difficult. Like, not in the sense that like, I need more than 10 rounds to defend myself. But I think that I just don't think that's right. Like, and then so I think of,
what's that to prevent? The ability for
it's such an arbitrary number.
For the ability for a psychopath to shoot more than 10 people.
It doesn't work though, because we had the San Bernardino shooting,
right? And
we had just recently had another shooting. So criminals don't care about that law, and they'll go and get magazines off the black market, same place they get their guns anyways. Or they can go to another state where those are legal and then illegally import across state lines.
What would you have done? What preventable measures would you have taken in the Las Vegas shooting? Because it seems like a lot of blame got placed on the bump stock, right? Like, well, it's the bump stock. If he didn't have the bump stock on his rifle, that would have been the problem.
That's a funny topic. So if he didn't have the bump stock and he was a skilled shooter, there probably would have been a lot more carnage.
Oh, really?
A bump stock is a novelty item. A bump stock is not something that serious shooters use. Bump stock is, like I said, it's novelty. The only thing that it makes a gun do is shoot really fast, but you're not going to shoot accurately. The reason why it
knocks your gun around.
Yeah,
right?
And I hate to say it this way, but the reason why he was so successful in killing so many people is because he was so he had ingenuity, right? So he knew that he could calculate his bullet drop from the elevation that he was at. If he sprayed bullets in a certain direction, that they would just rain down on people. So he literally, they found the calculations on a piece of paper, right?
They found the book and the thing. Do those videos scare you? Like the videos of the Las Vegas shooting?
Yeah.
Does that shit scare you?
So does it scare me? Like, it hurts me. It doesn't scare me.
I know
it hurts me.
I know it hurts you because you're a good person. You don't like.
Yeah,
people
no,
get
it doesn't
shot.
scare me. It makes me wish I was there.
Oh,
it
really?
Because I can help. Because I can help people.
I think that makes you a fucking badass.
Well, thank you. But see, it's just kind of like a natural thing for me. Like, like when I see people in trouble or something, like I'll go to that. Something could happen here right now. If I knew that, if I knew something was happening at the school right now and people were injured, I would go there because
I would go with
because
you.
We have stuff like, hey, even if we just
You're
go
obligated.
up to the cop and we just say, look, go, because they are going to run out of supplies. That's what happened in Vegas. They ran out of supplies really fast. They had to improvise things, and yeah. So.
Oh my goodness.
But here's the other thing too, is that I believe it was the Vegas shooting. A lot of those. I think most of the victims that died had injuries to their torso, so like chest. There's not a ton that we can do for that, right? So
that's why people wear bulletproof vests, right?
Yeah, I mean.
Do you roll around with bulletproof vests?
Only when I'm working.
I feel like you would.
I don't. Yeah, for sure when I'm working, especially if I'm working in an armed capacity. Kind of depends on the job. I have a backpack that has a bulletproof plate in there. That's just something that that's kind of like my ninja backpack. Like if I'm out with fam, it's got a bunch of other little things in there, especially
when you were at Disneyland. Did you carry around the bulletproof backpack?
No. So I could have. I actually thought about it, and I could have.
What do you say to the person at metal detector?
They wouldn't see it because it's in a secret pocket. And if it does go through the metal detector, or if they look at it, I don't believe that is a restricted item.
And you brought your tourniquet to Disneyland?
I brought a tourniquet. I brought a flashlight. I brought a pen.
You're so sick.
And
you're my favorite guest for sure.
And I brought.
You were nervous. And you ended up being a rock star. This is so rad.
Yeah. Well, so it was really just following that passion for education, man. Like so. EMT, I started learning about all this stuff, and I'm like, man, I love this. I went and took a pharmacology course. I took an EKG interpretation course. I loved it.
Yeah.
Now, at the same time, when I was doing that, I was like, really into firearms, learning the newest and latest, greatest techniques, light science, keeping up with the new technology, like we were talking about red dot. That's such a controversial subject. So in order in order for me to be the best instructor, I have to know my shit about that, I can tell people how to use it, why it might be better for them, or why they're that sort of institutionalized dogma, like, oh, if it breaks, you're gonna die, you're gonna get killed in the streets type thing. It's like, no, dude, like, relax.
Fuck.
There's always a lot of pushback, even in the medical industry, but in the firearms industry, there's always a lot of pushback when it comes to new technology. And that's a lot of times what you see me on Facebook.
Yeah.
When I'm talking on medical stuff, there's gun companies that are putting out medical devices that are unproven, untested.
Oh, and that's what you're defending.
Yeah. No, yeah. So they're telling people that, oh, this will save your life, but they actually will break when you're using it. Or there's other people that advocate for cheaper fake tourniquets, which are $9. This costs at least $27. Oh, I can get two. But then you go to use it and it breaks on the worst day of your life when you're dying. Right. So it's really important.
You don't wish you had it until you need it.
It's really important for me to make sure that people understand why it's important to choose the correct stuff. Well, you feel obligated.
Well, yeah. You do have an obligation.
I do. Yeah.
I think anybody who spends enough time to research knowing what the right answer is has an obligation to spread that knowledge. You'd be doing almost not an evil, but a serious injustice.
Yeah,
telling people, giving people wrong information while they're dying.
Yeah, and so that's something too that I really value is like integrity, right? So, right. If somebody says something to me and I literally am like questioning, oh man, maybe I'll for sure, like, okay, I need to do research on that. And that's why I've sort of evolved so much in how I teach firearms, because there was a lot of things that I believed in, like, oh, you should never use the slide stop to put the slide forward, and just little things like that. When you're doing certain types of reloads, don't put your magazine in this pouch or whatever. There's lots of institutionalized things that came from the military that it's just so like ingrained in how things have been taught over time, that if anyone says anything against that, they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And so it's important for me to be knowledgeable on the subject so that I'm not one of those guys.
Yeah. So I noticed that you don't carry around Quick Clot.
I do.
Oh, you do.
Just and
that's like a sand, like a granule.
I don't carry the granule, so that's not a product that we will recommend anymore. Okay. Kind of made popular like by the Saving Private Ryan movie.
Yeah. That's where I saw it.
It can be effective, but
with the morphine fucking boosters or whatever.
I don't even know what that was. That was some old school thing.
That's really bad to do, right? Because
I think it was epinephrine. Yeah. So.
Oh, okay.
There are certain, we call them pressors. Like, so if our blood pressure is low and we want our vessels to press, we'll give you a drug like that to constrict your vessels and sort of elevate your blood pressure, and that will help in a situation.
I thought it was like pain management.
It probably was more something like that. Like that. So now more currently they're using like ketamine and things for pain management. Or like morphine, like you were saying.
And you guys don't, so granule is outdated?
So yeah, they study this stuff. They do testing.
I feel like you study this stuff.
I do. I have to. So what we have now, when we say Quick Clot, those granules, which are essentially they're platelets. They're the platelets from our blood. That is now impregnated into this package of gauze. Not this actual one, but we'll take this gauze and we'll put those granules or those platelets and impregnate it into the gauze. So now when I'm wound packing, we're promoting that clotting cascade to go a little bit more quickly.
What shape is the ideal, like when you do the Quick Clot there, or the compressed gauze, excuse me, Do you wrap it in a like a tube type thing, like a bullet wound? How would you how would you stuff a bullet wound?
Yeah. So essentially, we would find the beginning of that gauze. We would kind of make a little ball around our finger, or just sort of like a little, just kind of gather a little bit. And then we're trying to shove it all the way down to the bone and trying to get that to that source of the bleeding. And then we're trying to plug that source of bleeding. So it will never be perfect. It will never be pretty. And I don't care how anyone does it. I don't even care how I do it. As long as the more important thing is to maintain constant pressure on that source of bleeding. So if I stick my finger down in there, and then I'm gathering more gauze with my other finger. I stick my finger down in there, and I'm gathering more gauze with my other finger, or my other hand. I don't want to pull this finger out and then put more in like that. I want to leave this finger in and do a finger exchange to put more gauze in there. So now I'm going to gather more gauze here, put it in, gather more gauze
and
here.
it's just to jam it the fuck up.
So you're going to be kind of stretching the wound a little bit, unless it's like a gaping wound.
Right.
But yeah, the idea is that it's going to hurt them for sure. But
Whatever.
The idea is that we're trying to save your life. So we're going to maintain constant pressure on the bleeding. Once I've packed it all the way up to the top and filled that cavitation completely, I'm going to push on the top. I'm going to put more gauze on top of it and then apply pressure for 3 minutes, literally with my hand, holding it down as much as I can. Maybe I'll put my elbow or my knee on it, and then we'll go to the pressure bandage. So it'll never look perfect. It'll never look pretty, and I don't care how it looks.
And that could save that person's life. But then they have to go seek medical attention.
Yeah, so we're doing all of that. The first thing we're going to do is make sure it's even safe to provide care to that person. If whatever hurt them can potentially hurt us too, then I'm not going to stop and provide care.
First step is still call 911, right?
Then we're going to call 911, yeah, make sure once we're safe, then we're going to call 911.
Oh,
yeah.
Fuck, man. So what if it's a bullet wound that goes in and out? Then what?
You're packing from both sides.
Oh, until your fingers fucking meet? Wow.
Yeah.
Holy smokes, dude.
That's a fun one.
Do you like war movies?
I love war movies, yeah.
You a fan of the Band of Brothers series?
I used to watch it a lot, and
there's only one season. It's just like a mini series. It's like 8 hours long.
I used to watch it. I used to like watch it when it was on HBO, I think.
They follow that the story of the medic is incredible.
That's a really cool I love World War II. Like I don't love it, but I loved studying it.
Yeah.
And I still watch World War II in color on History Channel all the time. Sure. It's kind of one of my go-tos.
Yeah.
Just to
what do you like? Well, not what do you like. What do you like about that war? But like what captivates you? Me is the Axis psychology, like just the mass brainwash, if you will. And then 2, I think it was.
You're saying that was a big accomplishment.
No. I'm saying that it's. I think that it's so interesting to have.
Yeah. It's
done that to an entire nation.
Sorry about that, dude. No. The interaction of like different cultures, countries, coalitions, and then just taking place on the entire vast world while everyone's watching is literally involved the entire world. But really what got me interested was Battlefield 1942.
For sure.
Like, what is this, Battle of Midway? Like,
yeah.
Iwo Jima? What's that? Like,
Drop Zone, dude.
Battle of Bulge, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that, there was someone that we went to school with who knew way more about World War II than I did. And I was like, man, that's cool. I want to know more.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite thing about World War II is Winston Churchill's method of leadership during that time, where he would take a fucking bombing, and then once the bombing was over, tell all the fucking citizens, you better go open your fucking shops, because we're going to let them know that they can bomb this place however they want. We're still going to be British. And that, I think that resilience is just like, he's a nutcase. I don't even know. I think the British say he wasn't even the best leader. He was just like what that country needed at that moment. He was just kind of this like fucking Cockney dude that like just whiskey fed and just fuck you Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
he has some really cool quotes.
Yeah.
I can't recite them, but he has some, fight him in the forest, fight him in the fields.
Yes.
Like, just badass shit.
Yeah, super badass shit. Wolfenstein is really cool. Wolfenstein's a little...
That was a cool game,
yeah, fictional. So what is and this is kind of an ambiguous question, but what's your end goal with this, man? So like, well, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Are you involved with the military? Are you...
So yeah, that's definitely still an option. I've got kind of like 3 things on the table, or as far as like goals for the future that I want to obtain, such as like reserve police officer, reserve pararescue, or physician's assistant.
So physician's assistant.
Yeah, so that's essentially like a doctor, just less school.
I feel like that's way turned down compared to your other options. I feel like it's like paratrooper.
Yeah, so it turned down in the sense that, yeah, like I won't be out in a high risk
getting shot
situation
at while you jump out of airplanes.
The thing is that while I'm doing any one of those things, I will still continue to operate my business unless I end up selling it, which is probably unlikely. But
sounds like it's your baby, man.
It is for sure. So my plan, more like near future, I hope to start a new firearms training company rather than what I'm doing now, which is I still volunteer for the guy that I started with 5 years ago.
Oh, cool.
And so I'm just teaching with him on teaching primarily civilians and things like that. But like I was saying, because he's teaching a little bit of outdated techniques, and because I respect him, I teach his techniques in his courses. I'm not going to be like, oh, hey, he's teaching this, but this is better, right?
For sure.
I respect him, so I continue to teach his techniques that he thinks are the best for who he's teaching. But I do see that the big game instructors that I really look up to are getting older. A new younger crowd is coming in to fill their shoes, and that's kind of where I see myself as being one of those top-notch instructors for individuals in the industry, law enforcement, military.
So you really have a passion for teaching.
Absolutely, and that's how it's been since the beginning. Like with dog training, I was teaching people how to train their dogs. I wasn't training their dogs. I was teaching people how to train their dogs.
Okay.
And then so that turned into firearms instruction. And then, yeah, so I've pretty much always been a teacher. Like that's kind of been my career in that sense, is teaching people CPR, stop, bleed, all that stuff. So, now with my company, we operate a security training facility alongside the company. So individuals who want to go into the security industry, get their guard card, firearm permit, taser, pepper spray, CPR, first aid, whatever, they can come and take our courses. I've got a classroom, and
do you have a classroom?
Yeah. It's like, so we got the office, and
the
then
company's so legit. Yeah. You should come you should give me a tour someday.
So I was thinking, I was gonna say we should have done it before this podcast. Is you should have come and taken like my Stop the Bleed program.
Yeah,
so that way we could have like
dude.
Be able to talk about it more.
There's no way this is the last time you're coming on. So
yeah,
we'll get that set up.
I'll come back. Maybe hopefully
we could stab.
I definitely. Yeah, well, I'll definitely come on again in the future.
Yeah,
we still have a lot more to talk about.
Yeah, we have a lot more to talk about, but I'm just so... I think that what you do is so cool, and you are so obviously passionate about this to the point, and I know you're passionate about it because the information I see you put online is one of a kind information. It's not hot topics, it's very in your lane. Like you are a go-to guy for a certain set of information, and that's essentially why I made this podcast, is because this podcast needs people like you and interesting, driven, passionate people like you, so that because this shit is important, it's not. I've gone 28. I went 28 years, didn't know how to pack a wound.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
You're lucky that you didn't need it.
Yeah,
because accidental trauma is the leading cause of preventable death, and
really?
And I'm not just talking. Like, so that's the cool thing about this. we're not just talking gunshots and stab wounds when we're talking about stop the bleed, because that's what made it popular, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about car accidents, kitchen accidents, just your everyday fall from the stairs can lead to life-threatening hemorrhage. And so, it became popularized because of gunshots and stab wounds, but
which are becoming more popular these days. Unfortunately.
So it is important because of that. So it's also like, hey, let's make sure that people know this, because it can be applied in so many other situations. But if you got to use it on a bystander, if you got to use it because you're getting, hurt in some situation or whatever.
It could be a dog bite.
Exactly. It's funny you say that, because I'm hoping to go to Grateful Dogs and tell them they need that training.
Dude, I think that, first of all, the great thing about your program is that fucking everybody bleeds.
Everyone,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is like, I was talking to Fuji the other day, and he was like, what's great is, I forgot I was talking to somebody, and they're like, yo, aren't you worried about running out of guests? And I was like, yo, man, everybody's got a fucking story, number one. Same way everybody bleeds, dude. Everybody should know how to do this.
Yeah.
It's not oh, no, you're good, he's one of the block blood types. It's like everybody fucking bleeds, and everybody is going to bleed at some point.
Yeah.
So this is crucial information, man.
Yeah, it's important, man. And like I always say, biggest thing is for parents. That death coming from accidental trauma. It's really that youth, the age group. I think it's like maybe like 4 to 30. You're most likely to die from some kind of accidental trauma.
4 to 30.
4 years old to 30 years old. I think that's
it.
Yeah.
I might go to hang out in a bubble for a couple years just to be sure.
Well, but that's the thing. It's like if you're asking me like, are you scared? It's like, no, I'm not scared, because I know how to do all this stuff.
You're less scared.
I'm less scared. I'm more prepared.
Right.
And I make sure that I've always got it with me. So like, car accident, right? I have a kit that's strapped up onto my headrest that also has a glass breaker on it. But the idea of
has a what?
A glass breaker. Right?
Oh, I have one.
Good.
I have
one.
Yeah. Kenzie got me one.
So
she would love that you just said that.
So yeah, you need to have it like on your
that's
visor.
That's how the Fast and Furious guy.
Yeah,
he died.
You got to have it like on your visor, somewhere where you can reach it. So now, why do I put my medical kit on my headrest? If I'm in a car accident and my legs become impinged, and I can show you a picture of this happened to him. His foot got amputated, but his legs were impinged in the vehicle, so he couldn't get out, but he was bleeding to death. So if your medical kit is in your trunk and you can't run out to the back of your trunk and get it, then you're kind of screwed, right?
Yeah.
And car accidents are very common.
Yeah.
So I put it right there on my headrest. And even if I didn't have like a full kit right there, I would at least want to have some kind of tourniquet. Maybe on my seatbelt, just put a little holster thing on my seatbelt, have a tourniquet right there.
So if I was to come have dinner at your house, is your house set up in a way, is your house set up in tactical formation? Almost, for lack of better words.
So there are, in my home defense plans, I have strategically placed items throughout my house for sure. But you wouldn't know that if you were just someone walking through my house.
No, absolutely. And that's not, you don't want that. You don't want someone to break into the house and be like, oh, there's the fucking M16. There's
I don't have an M16.
Yeah. Maybe.
I just want to tell.
Allegedly.
In case the Alphabet Boys are watching.
The Alphabet Boys. Damn, you got problems, dude.
No,
so do people come after you?
They can come knock on my door. They're not gonna take anything, but
you know your rights pretty well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You well versed?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
for sure.
and not just like what my rights are, but like I have to be very well educated on the law. I study case law. Especially when I'm teaching cops, I have to understand the same case law that they do. So it's important to understand, whatever we're talking about, Tennessee versus Garner, Graham v. Connor, all the different case laws that are important and pertinent to them conducting themselves in their field of duty. So,
and you don't want to be a cop?
I do. That's probably going to be one of the next things I do is police academy.
Could you skip a couple ranks, or would you be at the bottom of the barrel like everybody else?
No, everyone starts at the bottom. You will always start on patrol.
Because military, you can score into.
Yeah, if you have like college experience, if you, so there's different ways to get like higher rank. So if you have college experience, that's one way. But because I don't have really like college experience, I would just go take the ASVAB test.
Okay.
ASVAB, I forget how you pronounce it.
ASVAB.
ASVAB, whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then depending on how I score on that, and then depending on how I score physically, then I would be able to determine what kind of job I could have.
Let's talk about your fitness for a second, man.
Okay, yeah.
Because you're rock climbing fucking bunch. And
so that's actually
that.
a cool, kind of an interesting thing. So I wanted to get into technical rope rescue as an EMT. I'm scared of heights. I am terrified of heights.
I'm pretty scared of heights too.
I can't be a rope rescue technician if I'm scared of heights. So I'm like, okay, what can I do to get over my fear of heights? Started doing a little bit of rock climbing. Really scared at first. I was like,
not a bad move.
Super terrified at first. So now I'm getting better. Definitely have like negative thoughts while I'm climbing. Like,
sure.
Oh, I cannot reach that. Everybody does it, but
yeah.
That has been a huge exercise for me to not just conquer my fears, but to conquer that voice in my head that says like, oh, I can't reach that, or I can't do that, or I won't make it.
Right.
Or like learning that even if I fail, it's okay. If I fall, I've had some pretty good falls, and that's cool.
Some pretty big whips.
Probably not like your other guests have had. Like those guys are for
I've
sure.
rock climbed. I used to rock climb.
Yeah.
We used to go out to New Jack City, Sawtooth Canyon, and
Right.
I've done I think it was like a 5 or 5'10".
Yeah.
That's like as big as it's gone for me, but it was a couple
yeah.
meters up, dude.
And this is outdoor.
Outdoor. Because I saw you were
f-
doing a lot of rock climbing. You go to Hangar 18.
I go to
right?
Hangar. I've actually seen Kevin there. I've seen the other guests that you've had on, Christian there.
Yeah.
But I didn't even know. I saw them there, and then I saw them on here. I was like, oh shit, it's those guys.
Yeah.
So I'm
Old school buddies of mine.
Yeah, I'm by no means nearly as near experienced as they
They're
are.
freakazoids.
Right.
So you're good.
Been like 5-6 months maybe
Yeah.
in the game.
It's hard.
It's
hard.
super hard, and I had elbow pain for a while, so I had to take breaks, and then I had that back injury.
I had bursitis, dude. So that shit fucks you up.
Everything has been like good now, but getting to that point where I was like, actually like enjoying it was hard.
Yeah.
At Hangar 18, going over the top out boulder was so scary for me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. But now I can do it. Now I get in there, and that's the first thing I do.
Are you talking about the one in the back by
yeah,
the
yeah,
bathrooms?
where you got to go over the top.
Yeah.
So
even
going down that ladder, I'm like,
yeah,
whoa, dude.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it either.
So that was why I got into rock climbing. I started doing a little bit outdoor. I've got like all the stuff to build anchors and everything, but I don't.
You go by yourself?
No. See, I don't really have like a good climbing partner.
For sure.
I do, but our schedules are always off. So
I don't know how
if Christian is watching.
Christian,
climbing partner.
Christian,
but he would totally blow me out the water. He'd be like killing some shit.
No.
I need somebody who could who's like cool with like working with someone on like their technique.
You do the rope classes and stuff at Hangar?
Yeah, so I haven't done it at Hangar, but I've done a couple with REI.
Oh, okay.
And then
that's legit.
So I got kind of buddy with one of the instructors there, and I'm probably gonna do like a private lesson with him.
You got a gree?
I got a gree. I got a lot of stuff.
Got all your shit.
And a lot of that was mainly because like my interest in learning how to rappel, and then rope rescue stuff.
Rappel seems legit.
So that like that's a skill that I want to know as an executive protection agent. If I'm in a high-rise building and I need to get out and get my principal out the side of a window and we got to go down, I need to know how to do that.
Yeah.
So,
trusting that rope's a weird thing, huh?
So crazy.
Like sitting back in your harness like this.
Like, yeah, so that's why I'm really keen on like having someone with me that knows their shit.
Yeah.
Because I've learned how to build the anchor, but I'm still like, I don't know, like someone else come check this shit.
How long has it been? 1 hour and a half. I have the live time. It's been 2 hours.
Cool.
Are you
Sweet.
doing any You look like a pretty strong dude. You go to the gym a lot?
So yeah,
Kind of got
2018 was the year that everyone was a fitness blogger, so I definitely jumped on that train.
Okay.
I was a like a sort of like an independent sales rep for a supplement company while I was working out.
Dude, you work, huh?
Yeah, so I was in there 6 days a week. I was working with a personal trainer. Shout out Scott Sands Fitness. That guy's a genius. So he's a NASA scientist turned personal trainer.
Sick.
Also had the same exact back injury that I had. So when I found him, and I was telling him about my injury, he's like, dude, like I had the same thing. So I worked out with him for months. I was working out with him a lot. Like I was just strictly trying to build functional strength. For work, like trying to get better at trying to be able to do my job better. If I got to lift a car, if I got to crush a dude's freaking skull with my hand, like I need to be able to do that. I need to be able to protect my clients. So that was the big focus there. Haven't been in the gym a lot more, like as much recently.
You look still big.
I because I've been climbing still, and then now I'm getting a little bit more into the training for climbing.
Oh, okay.
So, but I'll be honest, like I have not been doing it as much as I used to.
Okay.
The gym is cool, man. Like I love, just like strength training. You know, it's not like so you like running. But for me, I hate running. I don't. There's other reasons why I don't like running.
I don't like running.
Oh,
I make myself fucking run.
yeah.
Dude.
See, I don't want to do something like that. I don't want to be when I'm doing strength training. It's not like, oh man, I got to get this over with. I got to hurry up and finish this because I enjoy it, and I also have that like the supplement regimen pretty well down that I wake up the next morning, I'm not sore, and I'm ready for the next workout. For sure.
Is that just your branched chain aminos, a multivitamin?
So I don't do any more branched chain aminos. But yeah, I've got the whole gamut. So from beginning to end, I have my micronutrients, my fish oils, my greens formula. I've got a really high quality protein whey isolate protein.
For sure.
Sometimes I'll use a glycogen supplement.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'll use creatine. Sometimes I'll use glutamine.
Okay.
But I got like I know like what time of day I'm doing what and
good.
Timing it with my workout and stuff like that.
Oh, great.
So yeah,
so you got it down to the NASA science, huh?
Yeah, well, and so that's like another thing where I was like I didn't really know what I was doing. Got with this guy and he put me on game and then I just got into it.
You got results?
Yeah, I did, dude.
Yeah.
Like really good results. Like, and then I kind of started getting into like a more of like a bodybuilding routine, which was a little bit different.
Oh, he's blowing up your shit.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, so I started getting a little bit more of a bodybuilding routine, and because that diet was different, it was a lot more carbs. My body did not necessarily like it as much. I definitely bulked up more. I got bigger, but it was more of like an inflamed, like it was like puffy.
Yeah, you're not.
I wasn't
like
you're exactly.
Yeah.
So I didn't really give that enough of a chance to see if that would have been good for me. And then work got super busy, and I kind of stopped working out altogether. But
work got super busy with your independent company.
Yeah.
That's
and then,
so cool, dude, that you're making it work. So cool, your company is working. You're making it work, and you got
for
clients,
sure.
and
absolutely,
it's paying the bills.
Oh yeah,
that's fucking incredible. Man.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool. It's definitely it could always be better. Like I'm always looking to take on more business. Some guy just called me right now that it's like I know what he wants. So
this is gonna be my first. This is gonna be my first podcast to go on YouTube because we played no music and
cool.
And your shit
sweet.
And you happen to just fucking blow it out of the water. So this whole entire video is gonna be on YouTube for sure.
Well, thank you.
I don't do it because I usually so if you watch my prior videos and usually the people within that guest circle are the ones to watch that video a lot, but the first 3 minutes is always muted for copyright purposes.
I've seen that too.
Yeah, so it's bullshit, and that is keeping us. So if I can keep the conversation in that screen without pulling up any copyrighted information or anything, then it can go to YouTube and it's not a fucking problem.
I wonder if they would trip if we played like Final Fight though, because it's like
No, because I think Final Fight
it's for sure like they yeah, no, don't worry about it. But I was just thinking because do you have a record player? Do you have it? Because I brought some vinyls.
A vinyl?
Yeah, I brought a bunch of vinyls.
I think we do, dude. Hold up.
Let's see. I actually found this in Sean's stuff.
This is actually Kenzie's.
Look at this one.
Oh, man. Look at that, baby. You guys know the deal.
Check that out. Careful, that one's like open.
Oh, the Miracle Mile.
Isn't that cool?
That is cool. Here, why don't you give me the
Which
oh,
one?
you know what? Why don't you give me that the snare? The snare stand right there, and I'll.
This one here?
Yeah, the snare stand, because I can put this up on there.
Oh shit, that's like an OG right there.
I'll have to plug it in, but we'll get it figured out.
I mean, and I haven't ever like really gone through any of this stuff. Yeah, these are old school OG.
Hopefully I can find it.
Yeah, this one's still wrapped too. So this is the lifelong tragedy. Oh, it's a test press.
I think I can plug it in right under this table.
Fucking dope. Look at that.
Oh, that's just looking fucking nice, dude. Get this down without fucking killing myself. Alright.
I don't even know what songs are on here.
We're here.
Not sure.
I know what songs are on there. That's
Do you?
Rage and Tour song on
Oh,
Final
yeah.
Fight, and then let's see. How do we? I think we just hit it with that. Yeah.
So yeah.
So this is.
So if we get muted, at least it'll just be.
Yeah.
But I doubt they will. I have rights to this music.
Yeah.
So.
You fucking definitely do, dude. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
So yeah, man. Business is good. I'm looking for
Here, you know what, dude? You know what we should do is let me hit the credits real quick, and then we can end this podcast, and then we'll start it up again like 20 seconds after, so that way if this gets copyrighted flag, our whole conversation video doesn't get down.
Or we could just wait and do it at the end.
No, that's what I'm saying, dude. Is like, oh yeah, we don't have to do this shit now.
Yeah. So what were we just talking about though? We were talking about my company. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I
Make
would.
sure we're talking to those microphones.
I would love.
I would crazy for a second.
I would love. Yeah. So I would love to start like a new company, firearms training company. I probably will eventually, once I get a little bit more of the. Once I get a little bit more of like a regular executive protection client base, I'll probably create a separate company that is only executive protection.
Oh, okay.
Right now, what I'm operating is like a full service security firm. So, you know, whether you need executive level protection or you need like just that like basic patrol level type service that we were talking about.
Right.
That our company does it all.
Yeah, that's would be ideally what you want, right? The one-stop shop for all medical and security purposes.
Yeah, but then I feel that eventually I probably will have just like a second separate company that deals exclusively with executive protection, bodyguarding, and that service.
Maybe dip your toes into international affairs, like.
Yeah, so I definitely have a couple international clients, but
That's awesome,
yeah,
dude.
so it's weird to like. It's very hard. There's a lot of like red tape, bureaucratic, like if you want to operate this type of company in other countries, or if you want to do that type of international work, there's you can't just like go and do it. Like you gotta get like the okay, and you gotta get permission essentially from the right authorities. But there are people like I randomly got an email from some dude from Jakarta, Indonesia, something like that. I was like, okay, cool. Like, when you coming? Not that simple. There's obviously way more planning, but it was pretty much like he found me, and he told me he's coming. He told me he wants protection, and then we set it up. Like, it's pretty cool. Like, it's not, like I would have never.
Does he tell you the level of protection?
So,
or do you offer the same?
Yeah. So here's how that works. So, I'm gonna perform a threat assessment on you. Like, if you want to be my client, I gotta understand what your level of threat is.
Give me a threat assessment right now.
Well, you're probably pretty low risk.
Yeah, probably.
So, if you may not disclose the information that I need to know, right? You might not tell me that you're a cocaine dealer, and if I can't work for you if you're
doing something illegal,
right? If you got a duffel bag with kilos in it, like I can't do that, right? So I gotta perform a threat assessment and a background check on my principal first, and then
using that word principal. Is that like...
So that's the term that we use. Essentially, it means client. That's the person that we're protecting. It could mean an entire family, or it could be one person. It's just the person or people that we're protecting.
Got it.
When so then when we start discussing, the level of protection, we're going to consider what is your threat level. Does this person need a 4-man SWAT team? Does this person need just a close protection bodyguard type, just a single person to follow them around and be a secure transportation, essentially like a driver? So that is going to, in some sense, be up to the client. And then, so they'll kind of tell us, like, they'll let us know what level of protection they're actually wanting. So, some people...
You going to invest in a bulletproof car for your company?
No, but when we need them, we just rent them.
Oh,
they're
you can rent.
So fucking expensive. Yeah.
Oh, you can rent them,
I can rent one, yeah. I just, there's a company in San Diego. Just hit them up, let them know the dates. Costs some money, but...
How much would it cost to buy one?
I know it's
ballpark
probably over 100,000.
Really?
Yeah. Especially if you're doing an Escalade. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. Probably closer to like the 150, 200,000, maybe even more.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy smokes,
I saw a
man.
TV show about how they outfit them like that recently. I saw a TV show, but I didn't pay attention to what the price ticket was. But yeah, they're available. Like that's something that's super popular, especially in like Mexico. Diplomatic operations for sure. We're gonna need something like that if they have that threat profile, right? So a guy may not have much of a threat profile, but he might want to be guarded by an entire SWAT team. He might want to have guys with rifles and full decked out gear.
You can do that?
We can, yes.
No, you can do that?
Yes, I can. Why can't I? Well, so I can't walk out in public with a rifle, right? We're not walking this guy down in downtown LA with a rifle.
All your guys have concealed firearms.
Yeah, in most cases, I don't want to say all of them, but in most cases we do, yeah. So,
how much information are you willing to give out before it's...
I'm not going to say... I'm pretty good about not telling too much. So I can't tell you who we protect. I can't tell you anything specifically about...
But I couldn't sit and just dig and just find out everything. You'd eventually get to a red tape
I'll tell you if I can't tell you something.
Oh.
But so far we're good.
Okay.
The big thing is that I can't tell you who I actually protect.
Okay.
I can't tell you who my clients are. And that's just a confidential.
Can you tell me if you've ever been shot at?
I have not been shot at. I have been in the presence of a shooting where I saw another person getting shot at, and I was maybe 20 feet away from that person.
And this is while you were on security detail?
No, this is not.
You were a civilian.
Off duty, yeah. Just
Holy
off duty,
shit,
yeah.
man.
I've seen someone get stabbed. Seen someone get robbed. I got some pretty crazy story. I've had to draw my gun on someone before. I've had drawn my taser. I've never had to use force in that sense.
Thank goodness.
I've put my hands on people. Don't get me wrong, but I've never had to use any.
Why sad face, dude?
I've never had to defend my actions in court or go to court for something like that. So
when you pulled your gun okay.
So I could give you that whole story.
I wanted to just ask if when the police get involved, it's important for you to kind of make your whatever happens to you the most legitimate scenario possible, right? So you'll go up to the police and say, using their vocabulary.
They were. You mean so they were already called in this situation. They had already been called to respond, and this guy was basically he was on drugs. He had attempted to rob a parking attendant. He had a saw blade, like a what do you call this, like a little sawzall jigsaw?
Okay. Just a small one?
Yeah, maybe like a 6-inch one.
Like one that would come in a Swiss Army kit type deal?
Right. And then he had that tied to the end of a shoelace, and he asked the guy for money, the parking attendant. The guy said no, so he hit him with it. Hit him with the saw.
Okay.
So he got hit on his chest right here. So I saw it on camera. I went out there, asked him what was going on. He was like, yeah, this guy just tried to rob me. So we called 911. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to kind of walk around this little bit of a vicinity and see if I can find him. So I walk around this corner and I see a car, and the windows are all smashed out. Every single window on this car smashed out. And I see him out of the corner of my eye, and he's holding essentially the bottom of an office chair, all the wheels, but he's holding it up like a bat. Right?
Okay.
He's going to hit me with it. So that's when I drew my gun.
How far away was he from you?
Probably 10 feet.
Oh, okay.
10, 15 feet. So I drew my gun. I told him to drop it. And he does. And he looks at me and he goes like this. He looks at me with this crazy, man, like that. And then he reaches in his pocket and he pulls something out, and it's yellow, and it's a radio. And he goes, he's all drugged out. Supervisor, I don't need you to come over here right now. I need to fire somebody. I need you to come over here right now. And so he's walking around all drugged out, all crazy. So
he's nuts.
Yeah, so he wasn't even fazed by having the gun pointed at him. So I put my gun away. He started walking away, kind of trailing him. He goes around a corner. So I'm kind of peeking around the corner. The second I get around the corner and I see him, he has a 4x4 piece of wood. It's about 10 feet long, and he's running at me like he's gonna fucking joust me.
Jousting.
Legit. I turned around, I booked it.
Yeah.
I dipped out.
Fuck that. Fuck that.
So I dipped out, ran around the corner, and then kind of got away from him. And then I start kind of going back out to where I saw him to see where he went to.
Right.
He's taking off his shirt now, so I'm calling the cops again, telling him he's got a new description. The cops finally found him, had him at gunpoint, put him in the car, and then, so when I went up to the cops, they didn't really even say anything to me. They were just like, hey, I told them, I was like, your victim's over there. And they were like, oh, can you tell him to come over here? I was like, okay. So I went and got him, brought him over there, and they're like, all right. I was like, do you need anything else from me? And they're like, nope. And the guys in the seat of the car telling me, I'm gonna fucking kill you, all that stuff. Yeah. So
is it hard doing what you do? And do you ever find in this term, is it hard doing what you do and finding out and taking yourself as seriously and professional as possible? And when the police arrive on scene, you find that their attitude may be like complacent or lazy, and you're like, hey man, I'm taking your job serious for you. Could you
Yeah, I get
Does
that.
that make sense?
I do actually. I experienced that even recently. But what I tend to find is that oftentimes I'm older than the responding officers. They may have a different outlook on the job than I do. Like, I think that a lot of times some of them are just burnt out, or they shouldn't be there to begin with. A lot of cops are cops that shouldn't be cops. And so most of the time people are going to, a responding officer is going to say, hey, thank you, good job, take my information, whatever. But I don't necessarily take offense. Like in that situation that I just mentioned, I didn't really take offense. There was a more recent situation.
Like when he asked you to go get the guy, that seems strange to me. It's kind of like,
yeah,
it's like kind of like, hey man, like let's act with some urgency.
But at the time I was feeling like, it wasn't a problem because I'll be helpful. Like
Okay.
he was literally like 50 feet away, standing back in the little parking shack where he got attacked. So
yeah,
not a big deal. I didn't necessarily that type of stuff is not a big deal. It's more so like when recently I was visiting a property, just kind of checking in on it, and some dude just ran right past me. Just booked it past me. I was like, oh, well, that guy obviously just committed a crime.
Yeah.
The next thing he did was take off his sweatshirt and put it in a trash can. So I was like, okay, let me see where this guy goes. So
and did he not see, he saw you in your security outfit?
He was so like into running away that he didn't even notice me. He was like tunnel vision, right?
Okay.
So he ran right past me.
Okay.
And I was sitting in a car too, so marked patrol car.
Okay.
So ran right past me, didn't even notice. Then I was like, okay, like this isn't like my deal, right? Like I don't need to go and chase this guy down. That's not what we do in my industry, right? So, but I did see where he went, and I saw that he went and sat down, and he was just sitting there, and he kept looking in our direction. To like, he was kind of like target glancing, like trying to look for somebody, probably looking for his buddy. So I spent a couple more minutes there. Next thing I know, cops show up. They got another guy in handcuffs. They're bringing him out from a medical marijuana dispensary on this property. And I asked them, I was like, are you guys looking for another suspect? And they're like, yeah. I was like, okay, well, I know where he is. He's over here. So I'm like trying to call their dispatcher. I'm like trying to keep an eye on this guy, trying to let him know. Another cop drives by. I'm trying to flag him down with my flashlight. Like, they're just like, whatever. So
you flagged him down with a flashlight?
Yeah, he just didn't even look at me. He didn't even see me. I was like flashing it at him, and he just drove past me. And then I'm calling the dispatcher, and this is, I remember now, I had already called earlier for another situation. So I'm calling the same dispatcher back, and I'm like, hey, I called you earlier about something, but now I'm calling you about something else. So
and they think you're being needy? Is that what's going on?
I don't know. Dispatchers always suck anyways.
Really?
I hate dispatchers. They're the worst. I love them, but I hate them.
Yeah.
So,
you have a relationship with them.
It was just really hard, like the lack of communication. Like I was trying to convey a message that just wasn't getting to them. And then eventually the guy moves, and now he's walked over to another place, and he's sitting in a hospital, like on a bench in front of a hospital. And so I drive back over to the cops again. This is maybe like 10, 15 minutes later after watching this guy, waiting for a cop to show up.
Doing the cop's job.
So I was just going to direct him and just say like, hey, that's the guy you're looking for. So he like walks away, and then I walk over to them, and I'm like, hey, he moved. He's over there. He's sitting on that bench right there. You see him, and they look, and they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to go talk to him right now. Okay, dude, see you later.
Yeah, fuck.
I wasted all my time.
That would be so frustrating for me.
It was frustrating, but then, like, later on in the day, I was like, okay, like, whatever. Like, I don't care. They're, like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, like, they whether they got that guy or not, it doesn't matter to me. I just tried to help them, and that was all I could do. So there is sometimes that, and it's not necessarily just because it's like they're dealing with someone who's security. I think that's just how some cops are. Some of them tend to like I said, some of them are like kind of younger. They carry this ego, and like I'm running into those guys more often than the real studs that I tend to work with more often than I'm running into on calls and things like that.
For sure.
Yeah.
In the recent kind of, well, not kind of, the recent events that have involved police enforcement on a grand scale.
Yeah.
Have you seen a change in the quality of police work?
It's gotten worse. There's been, and I don't know if it's gotten worse or it's just being publicized more, but there's a huge lack of training, and a lot of it is for budget reasons. Departments don't have the budget to train their officers to the fullest extent. So a lot of times it comes out of the own police officer's pocket, and if they're not taking the job that seriously to go seek out that training, they're only going to stick with the departmental twice a year qualification, whatever required training they have to do. But I also think that a lot of cops, like, they don't even like guns. They don't want to practice with their firearms. They just want to qualify, and then that's it. So a lot of times, like when we're seeing people or police officers who are reacting poorly and using their firearms when they shouldn't have, or letting their anger get the best of them and smashing some kids in face into the concrete. It's like, dude, like, you should not be a cop.
Yeah.
But police departments are so desperate for officers right now. They don't care. They're going to pick up someone to put uniforms on the street. There was a shooting, I forget where, but there was like a officer went through some accelerated program. They like pushed him through to get him a badge, and he ends up killing some innocent lady. So there's a lot, like, in that sense, it's getting worse. But at the same time, it's like
the resources aren't there.
Yeah, so it's not the cop's fault in that
Yeah.
sense. In some cases it is, but in a lot of cases
It's like an algebra student in a calculus class type deal.
yeah, and there is a lot of good police work being done, and a lot of that doesn't get reported on or doesn't get exposure.
Right.
And
it doesn't sell headlines.
There's always going to be people who hate cops. I have a lot of friends that hate cops, and it's
Right.
like, I mean, I personally don't get that. But,
Yeah. I think it's one of the hardest jobs in the
It
in
is.
the world.
It is. It's dangerous. You know, cops get attacked for no reason. Cops, like, I've seen it all, and I don't want to come off as like a cop lover, because I definitely have my feelings about.
Well, I think they're just people. You know,
They are.
I think
That's the thing.
It's just
That's the thing, is that a lot of people are like, you know, just because someone is law enforcement or military does not necessarily mean that they know everything about this.
Yeah,
you know?
it's a
or that they're
person.
the best. Cops
Right.
are terrible shooters. Cops are terrible at shooting.
really
The most negligent discharges, the most terrible shooters are cops.
Does your service provide a law enforcement training?
So what I have occasionally is I'll work with people who have either failed out of police academy or they're trying to go into police academy.
Okay.
And a lot of the times it's one of my employees. Like, maybe he wants to go into law enforcement. So what I will do is I'll help prep him for it. I'll help him study the case law. I'll help him study the penal code. I'll help him learn appropriate shooting techniques, or how to appropriately challenge someone and give commands and
Right.
things like that. But I don't advertise, or I don't have law enforcement specific training.
Right.
In
But
our-
I feel like your certifications would
Yeah,
make someone very eligible to be an efficient police officer.
I can, yeah. And so, like, I definitely want to. That's like on one of the things. There's certain things like that if I don't do it before I die, I'm gonna be like really mad when I'm on my deathbed.
And this is one of
Yeah,
those
being
things.
a cop is for sure one of them. So even if I work patrol for a couple years and I'm over it, I'm like, cool, at least I did it.
Mhm. Are you afraid that with do you ever fear that your drive and passion for this and the rate in which you move let's call it 80 miles an hour, and the restrictions of being a police officer would only let you move at 55.
Yeah, so that's also another reason why I haven't taken that dive yet.
Right.
You know, all the stuff I say on Facebook and like all the shit I talk, like I wouldn't be able to do that if I was aligned with some police department. Even if I was just a trainer for police department and I was only an instructor,
Right.
if I'm aligned with them, then I'm not going to be able to do or say the things. So and that's something that I don't necessarily know, like, because I own a business that is private security and it works so closely and tied, like that may in some cases present conflict of interest. So you know, I don't know how that would really affect it, but I definitely see it in my plan to attend a police academy, apply for, you know, multiple departments, probably small local departments, and then work for a couple of years as a police officer. Whether or not that slows down other things, I probably wouldn't do it unless I was in a place where I had somebody who was able to really manage my business and company.
Peace out, Desolate. Thanks for hanging out, dude. I appreciate it. Just gotta go to bed.
If I had someone that could actually manage my company so that I could take a little bit of a step back.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point I kind of had that, but there were things that would come up where it always ended up coming back to me anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, all right, well,
no, but it would have to be somebody who is in love with your idea the same way you are in love with your idea.
Which is not easy to find.
No, dude, I think about
there is nobody.
Yeah.
There isn't. So yeah.
Yeah, I get that, dude.
Yeah, for
100%.
Sure. It's cool though. Like I'm loving it. I'm loving the journey, even the ups and downs, the losses, you know.
Yeah.
It's all good.
It sounds, well, anybody who has followed you on Facebook knows that, I mean, you are so passionate and driven about this that it has to be legit.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I gave you the benefit of the doubt, not because you're my buddy, but just because you carry yourself so informed and versed online in your arguments. It's, I don't know any of the abbreviations you're using, but I'm like, yeah, you got a fucking fair point there. I don't even know what you're fucking talking about. The things that you talk about seem like just, what's so mind-blowing to me is that I think you're really onto something here. And I think that this is something that can be taught, I mean, in children's books in like a friendly way. You know, this could be, I mean, again, I said it and it sounds gruesome, but everybody's got blood. You know, and everybody is susceptible to dying.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of, we kind of live in Mr. Rogers land where it's sunshiny every day and stuff, but we don't, you know, I just fucking went bike riding in PV the day I charged PV, and I went up there, no spare tires and no helmet on, because I just got my bike the day before, and everybody's looking at me like, where's all your shit, idiot? And I didn't get it until I got home, and I had asked my girlfriend, I was like, should I get a helmet? And she's like, idiot. I realized that I was like trying to figure out why everybody was looking at me, but I was the only one not wearing a helmet, you know? And I think that this is this kind of situation. I feel like your information is so important that it's almost like a lot of people are without a helmet right now, you know?
Well, it's like, why do you wear a helmet? To prevent like
the
serious injury, to prevent you dying in case you get hit by a car, right? But we're not always riding a bike, so where's your helmet for your like everyday life?
Exactly.
You know? And like you said too, you know, a lot of people sort of have this kind of false sense of security that someone's gonna come and save them, someone's gonna protect them, you know, like someone will be there, you know. So it's really up to anybody to like I have to like shatter that for some people. It's like, look, you're stuck in this bubble where you think that if we take all the guns away, we're all gonna be safe. Like, no, sorry, but you know, it's more so of just more, like I feel like there are people who understand it and they like seek that out. Like they seek out that I want to be my own security, I want to be my own first responder. And then there's other people that are either oblivious, they don't care, or they just feel like it's not important. It's not
Right.
important. They don't have the time for it or whatever the case.
Right. Well, I wonder if there's a correlation between like that person's lifestyle, like you have your own company, libertarian views,
Yeah.
which is pretty much a DIY type
Yeah.
lifestyle. I wonder if there's a correlation between the people who just kind of go through the motions of life. Yeah, help is on its way. Yeah,
Those people die.
Well, it's and that's what, that's maybe something. Hearing you say that, it was my first response is like, God, man, that's kind of grotesque, but that's the truth, man. That's the truth.
I think a majority of people live their life that way.
Yeah, and I think that right now, I think the world has just kind of never been more unpredictable.
Yeah.
And I think that we should probably gear up.
Yeah.
Dude, Shelby, you were such a fucking awesome guest.
This was cool, man. I thought we were gonna talk more about music, and that's cool that we talked more about this everything else. But
well, you're my buddy, and let's
dude,
let's
we'll
have
do
you
this again.
Let's have you on all
I
the time.
see for you like you'll get another one of these, and then maybe one day you'll have like a big round table, kind of like the JR.
The Rogan, dude.
Yeah.
So I love Rogan. He's I took a picture with him in Vegas.
Yeah.
After one, and it changed me, and I was like, I'm
That's
gonna fucking figure out how to do this.
This is it, man. You're doing it. You just have to do it, and you're doing it.
And I'm fucking doing it, man. And I have extender cables for the equipment, so I figured out how to like do it off of the computer. Next step is the one thing is the reason why I'm having you sit like this and our mics are set up the way they are, because you'll see in the videos, as soon as I turn like this, my mic starts getting picked up like that. So I would have to triangulate the microphone so that nobody was talking into each other's microphone.
Yeah.
And that might call for an entirely different table setup where
that makes sense.
where like I buy a table and this is set up in the center of the room type deal. That's why you'll see those tables in the center of the room, and everybody kind of has their own side
They're
of
like
the table
super
type.
far apart.
Yeah, type deal. So
Okay.
we'll get there, man. But listen, my idea for playing the records was that right now I hit the credits. This is pieced out because YouTube will flag the entire video and pull the entire video off. And this is my first full session going on fucking YouTube.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, I don't care. I mean, we don't need music.
No. I'm gonna call. Let's call this bitch right here, and then we'll boot it back up. And then that way, if we get copyrighted pulled, they only pull our music jam sesh.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Shelby, hit them with your shit, man.
What, like my handle?
Yeah, whatever you want 'em to know.
Instagram handle. Excuse the pun. Yeah, if you're interested, if you have questions, send me a DM. If you want training, send me a DM. Easy enough.
It's phenomenal stuff. He's super passionate about it, and it's eye-opening to sit here and see all this stuff, to say the least. Shelby, the man. Give me some knuckles,
Thanks,
brother.
brother.
Yeah, it's good to have you on.
That
All right,
was
y'all.
fun, man.
Peace out.